Hello everybody and welcome to Low Ink May 2026. Day 2 has arrived with us after a very fun weekend. We have entered the home stretch of Low Ink. My name is Kyon. With me on the mic, the Hydra enthusiast herself, it's Debbie. Debbie, how are you doing?
Hello! I am excited. I had a long weekend. I've got more energy than I expected today, so that's a good thing. Because there's lots of things going on. We've got Low Ink Day 2. I've got other things later, so let's get into this action here.
Let's have a lot of fun while we're at it. Let's for sure. Both teams are just gonna run right into it. So let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do to the best of our abilities. Crushing 20s versus Magic Beans gonna be the two teams that we're gonna be seeing here later today. And the first map of the day is Mako Mart Zones. But before we really talk about Mako Mart Zones, we're gonna give you guys the rundown because day one happened yesterday. Pretty much everybody got grouped up in the same groups here, and we got our top, if I can actually simply do math here today, 16 teams ready to go. So we got our 16 teams coming up in the alpha bracket side. Crushing 20s finishing 5-1, being that group, and then we also have Magic Beans coming up here, which finished 4-2. So Debbie, I think needless to say, both teams want to get the Low Ink started on the right track.
Absolutely. It looks like they're ready to go, and we're going to dive right on into a good old classic of Splat Zones, Mako Mart, right off the get-go. For comps, we've seen a lot of standard comps, but you never know what you're going to see at this day and pace. But of course, there is the traditional comps coming out here on the side. The ones in the yellow here. Sorry, I haven't memorized which yet. There we go. Anyway, on the other side, we do have a sploosh and a tent. I was looking on this. I'm like, okay, the one thing we're going to see is Nutty being a rat playstyle kind of weapon, considering the weapon pool that I looked at prior. And of course, we've seen a couple going down already from Crushing 20s, but they do have the zone and they are hanging on to it. It looks like the tent's trying to come in on the side. Tent did get pinched. We've got more people coming in out on the left side here, trying to maybe take it back, but we do go even in the fight here. But it looks like the sploosh has entered the zone, trying to paint up a little bit, dodging the shots from the dualies and the pencil. Hammer trying to get that pick. Zone is recapped for Magic Beans, and they're just trying to flush the last little bit of Crushing 20s back here.
Yeah, Crushing 20s having to retreat a little bit back at this point, and I want to see how Crushing 20s with a comp that features pretty much traditional setup here with a lot of paint that they can use from their specials, of course, with the trip strikes and the triple splashdown available from Crushing 20s. Right on cue, triple splashdown was used, not able to get the cap onto this. How they're gonna have to go up against a running sploosh here that also has some supporting weapons here, but not a lot from a backline perspective. So they got to rely on the tent and the S splash to help stabilize the line here. And so far, Magic Bean's gonna get the quick lead change here, but they also have an Ultra Simp that Nutty just used. Now chasing out the Crab Tank, and the sploosh loses to the Crab Tank to get things going. And both teams are trading zone for zone here. And Debbie, this is kind of what the theme we're seeing here. About a minute and a half in, both teams with the zones trade and somewhat equally matched.
It is relatively equally matched. We see the tent trying to do a little bit of distraction, trying to keep some back on that right-hand side here. Meanwhile, we had a whole fight go down just below Magic Bean's snipe point here, which did end up kind of like an even area there, but we do have Magic Beans trying to come back towards the zone. As you can see, just the members of Crushing 20s, like just the formation that they had there, just trying to go in the side, but the members couldn't quite pinch with each other. Well, Magic Beans being closer, able to win that fight, taking the zone back, and now they are trying to push forward a bit. The tent here just trying to lead the way, is able to get the pick on the dualies dropping down. There is 1-for-1 there. Hammer trying to find another up on top. Isn't able to get it, but the sploosh here just going to kind of roam around. Does see the blaster. Doesn't want to get caught. Is marked, though. Zone is up for grabs here, and Crushing 20s did get it. And this bucket is in a prime position right now with 3 down. To potential delayed wipe could happen here, but it looks like that 52 did a good job staying alive for as long as possible, but now it is a little bit of a stagger coming back in.
Now watch how the weapons are going to be positioned throughout this map. You have players on the right stack. When you have that delayed wipe, you can use the Crab Tank and the pencil to help apply pressure, against Magic Bean. And Magic Beans was able to throw Crushing 20s out of there. Now Crushing 20s is still retaining the zone cap for as long as they can. Nutty's trying to play a fight on the right hand side of the map, but is not able to do so. Now the zone getting retaken by Magic Beans does buy them a lot of time, but there are no specials on the board that they can capitalize other than Nutty with an Ultra Stamp. That may not even matter though, because a couple members have dropped, and Tom Warrior and Tao placed on the left hand side of the map they're going to be stuck basically in no man's land, and Talent 8 half damage from the Ultra Sam in general, but they're still very much alive, but Crushing 20s is slowly losing members left and right, and this is and Debbie, a prime position for Magic Beans to strike quickly here. They could get a lot of points, maybe even a lead change to keep the pressure going.
It is. They had a good fight there, which they did win, and almost even took down another member. The dually on the side of Crushing 20s, managing to survive the hammer, and even trying to chase the sploosh down, still end up living, but unfortunately, like, we have the lead swap here going down, and there is quite the fight here. We see two members, the splashdown coming down, which should cap the zone. Penalty down. Two members down on the side of Magic Beans. Make that 3. Just the sploosh left alive. They do have the hammer out. They're trying to move around, but the back did get turned to that pencil, which did shoot down the hammer, and unfortunately aren't able to stop or get that fight. Crushing 20s here now has a spot to lock them down. The tent here does have Zuka online. Is getting ready to get set up here, trying to find a C. It looks like they're going to pop it, see if they can get a pick. Two members down. Very nice rolled splat bomb. One in behind. The mine does get the pick on the dualies, and it's just the pen left, and the lead is just barely not grabbed.
I cannot believe that they could not even get lead off of that one, but those picks came basically a couple seconds before the retake. And now we're coming down to 20 seconds left in this game. Now we got to take a look at the specials here. A Trip Strike is available from Crushing 20s. They lost the dualies. That's going to be some long respawns coming in here. So you got to look to see how this all materializes for them, as they're about to be going on the penalty points here soon. For 7 seconds left on the clock, Crushing 20s just need to find a way to get the zones capped back, but you can see Magic Beans just flying all the paint down in the zone, and they had to get the retake when they needed it. The triple splashdown's just about 3 seconds too late there, Debbie, to get things going. And what has been a very intense back and forth between both teams. Magic Beans comes out 3 points ahead, and they're up 1-0 in the best of 3.
What a startup for a traditional one like this. Normally, this is like the game 3 kicker, where this is only game 1. And we're like back and forth here. Just going, both teams like not rushing to get out. They're waiting. They're going in with each other. And during each time, like both teams, like they would try to go in and it just didn't work out for them. They do it again, would succeed the second time. Or then they'd have a team fight happen and just able to just get it back. And just, it happened just relatively evenly. I know that there was a couple times the tent would get caught out on the side and like it would be collapsed on here and there, which is good to find. It was Magic Beans' tent was holding the sides quite well there. And then you could see Crushing 20s is just like, okay, the tent's over here, let's tag team it. And you could see them go and tag team it. And here is one of those potential delayed wipes there, but it was a point where most of the team was already respawned by the time the 52 went down. So they had a good hold here. But yeah, right at the end, like you said, that splashdown, it was right there, but just too little too late.
Yeah, just need a little bit more time. And you can kind of feel for the way Crushing 20s tried to approach towards that zone. There just wasn't really enough time left on the clock to clear the space with the triple splashdown to come in. And you kind of see the vision there with how the specials kind of lined up was... okay, well, we got to get the triple splashdown in because we got to get that zone's recap and get OT started. But you can, but Magic Beans pretty much understood what they needed to do in this particular matchup. Where, all right, well, we got to just retain zone. You're down to like less than 10 seconds, so that's what you got to do in order to keep yourself alive. Obviously, things got a little dicey at the end, as we kind of saw there. So I want to see how both teams want to make Crushing 20s approach this one, especially now that now that it's counter picks in the winners bracket the entire way. Ramen zones I am seeing, by the way, is the counter pick for game 2 here, Devi, and I think both teams won't waste any time loading into it.
I don't think so either. I think we're going to see relatively similar thing, and I can say is the tent is going to have fun trying to push up to corners, but of course it was getting collapsed on in the middle, so it is something to be aware of. That is, if that tent does make its reappearance here. The other point is the roaming sploosh that Magic Beans has. It can just run around the track down below and come back up and just pop up, and if you're not aware of it and you're getting really focused to push in, that could lead to a bad time.
Just kind of put it briefly, briefly, yes, for sure, as we're about to load right into this again. Best of 3 here. If Magic Beans wins, they move on to that next round. Obviously, with this being a double elimination tournament, losing this one, not the end of the world, but you do need to make the run back in the lower side of the bracket here. Looking at the weapons here, Debbie, actually, I think it's the exact same weapon loadout here coming into
It is.
Wrong Zones. It very much is. So, same weapon strategy, just different map overall, and I want to see what Crushing 20s wants to do with this comp fundamentally, because you know that they have the triple splash, and you know you have the trip strike. You also have a crab tank and the pencil to help stabilize around that zone, especially with the crab tank having such a great reach. So want to see how Crushing 20s approaches this one. Both teams getting a feel around the middle capital zone. Tao, I think, was trying to go for a flank against Magic Beans and just got completely spotted there. It only ends with a 1-1 trade. No real zones take to ever so speak of until the trip strikes come out here, and Bort is just trying to move right in with the tent and gets snuffed out entirely. And Devi, this might be a decent hole here from Crushing 20s, even though Magic Bean still has some fight around the zones here, as Nutty runs right in and takes out the custom blaster.
You say that, but there was no presence from Crushing 20s whatsoever on the zone when they had that advantage. Magic Beans had more players up on the zone. They were able to take it and now hold more space. Crushing 20s actually led off the zone and then ended up losing the fights and going back into the zone. You can see Crushing 20s here really wants to set up their range, like you were mentioning, with that crab tank and the pencil. But unfortunately, they are getting led into the corner by that sploosh, by that tent, things underneath, and they're being dragged away from the objective. And that's what Magic Beans want, so that way they can gain control and not have to worry about that range.
And I'm wondering how Magic Beans is going to try to approach this overall, especially with the fact that they're having to rely on Nutty, who's just trying to be a rat, as always, with that sploosh, and have Bort that is just using the tent to help protect the team. But both of them get snuffed out, and you're left with that S-Blast and the 52, and they're just trying to play from range from what we're seeing so far stylistically. If Crushing 20s can punish that, it is going to lead to the opening that we are seeing right now. And Tao using a very aggressive grab tank to push Magic Beans backwards, throwing with very little might against the Booyabong shield, and they eliminate Town anyway on the 52. But again, back to the same formation here with this game, kind of trained zone for zone so far. And Bort hoping to land a shot with that Zuka does take a lot of damage. 3 members already dropped because I think Nutty got a couple from the bottom side of the map, and that gives Magic Beans the zone. Yes, Crushing 20s will lead, but that may not last for long, Debbie.
Yes, the sploosh getting the 2 picks on the bottom left corner, while we've seen the Doolies try to get a pick in the 3, but just went down as well, leaving a disadvantage for Crushing 20s. Magic Beans able to come out from that lockout. I was getting a little worried there, because Crushing 20s again had their range where they wanted it, and it just was in a point where how are Magic Beans going to get out? But they were able to use those specials. The hammer throw started. It didn't get anything, but then just were able to get the picks afterwards, and you could see how they moved back onto zone together, able to get back there. But now we see Crushing 20s able to get back out, does get 3 down. There was the fight. The tent able to get that pick. The pen here is just trying to eye on that tent. Where's it going to hop up? Where do we see it? The pen here going like, looks like paranoid. Like, I need to see this tent. Where is it? I need to get out of here. They have Zuka. The Zuka able to pick off the crab. But in the end, it's a wipeout on the side of Magic Beans. So Crushing 20s able to take up on that. And you can see the blaster just not wanting to let anybody drop down in that spawn area, but then is finally taken down. Nice roll, Splat Bomb able to take down the tent in return. And now we have some more zone hold here, and there's no penalty going, so we're going down to the KO here.
Okay, going down to the KO range for sure. This has to be an immediate retake here from Black Beans, which are able to do just that, just with the assist from the Blue Bomb that's applying a lot of paint around that zone. I want to go back to the previous fight though, Debbie, that Bort with the tent just being able to sidestep the sniper. Now, granted, the sniper rider in general can only rely on a sprinkler, which is the least lethal sub you're gonna have unless you run right into the sprinkler itself, and that's kind of how Magic Beans, yes, you have Bort out of position entirely, and the rest of the team just got completely collapsed on. It gives Crushing 20s that lead, but a lot of kudos at least aiming the Zuka to eliminate the crab tank, but it was just not enough left. And now you have Magic Beans trying to see if they can keep this momentum going, but they lose 3 on an attempted lockout of Crushing 20s, and Crushing 20s will just take that zones all the way home. Now, here's the thing with Magic Beans: they have no specials to work off of. A Nutty dropped here along with Bort, and Town and Crazy are just having to play this game a little bit safe here with their weapons. So about 20 seconds left to go here, Debbie, and Tao and Crushing 20s trying to stave off Magic Beans within the final stretch.
Out here just kind of playing around. It looks like trying to get around. They're building that crab tank, but it is spotted. They do not want that crab tank to happen. The hammer is ready here, trying to get for that pen, but ends up getting somebody else in the back. Ends up taking down the dualies with the crab, jumping forward, getting another one. This is what the little sploosh that can. You cannot underestimate these things. Like, I'm telling you, as a backline hunted down by these things, they can do that. And it just happens. Overtime is out. They do have whales online. Crab is out on the bottom corner there, trying to get some stuff on zone. You can see the Brella trying to block it with the shield. The pen was trying to paint over, but couldn't do it. Magic Beans took it back.
What is the phrase here that I wanted to say? The sploosh that could. I call this the brave little sploosh that could from Nutty, and that, I mean, if you're talking about a double at the best possible moment, I guess Nutty managed to find the way to do it. And I know we highlight the double there, but that really did change the tides of the game because you had to factor in the time of the game that was left, about less than 15 seconds left. You had control of the zone, but when you lose 3 right in the tail end of it, the momentum's just gonna stall. You're just playing for panic here, and that's just how Magic Beans 2-0s. Crushing 20s, and that was a very competitive set. I think you could have wished that this went the distance here, but what it comes down to these short sets here, Debbie, is any mistake you end up making or any big play you end up making at the end could make the difference, and that's kind of what we saw with Magic Beans, right at the very end, with Nutty just going off when they needed it.
Yeah, there was 2 things there. One, that hammer throw from Nutty at the end with that double was not meant for the dualies. That was 100% meant for the pencil. As a person who's targeted by these things and people stand behind me and get hit by something that's thrown at me, I'm like, well, this is what happens when you're a threatening backline and just getting targeted by everything. If you are nearby or beside, and especially in a tight corner like that, if you're behind, you're going to get hit by something that was not meant for you. It's like, I feel bad, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know what else to tell you. The other thing is that there was that second lockout point that Crushing 20s had on Magic Beans, and something that I noticed was the 52 was playing back like as if they were playing Zone Protector and watching the flank on the right, while the tent and one other went forward, or not the tent, it was somebody else. I think I have this backwards, but there was a lockout point where 2 members went in. Now I'm blanking on what side it was. I think I got my facts backwards. But there was someone in the spawn, and it was a second lockout, and maybe it was Magic Beans going out. Yeah, and it was the second lockout, and the 2 just kind of pushed out. Like there were specials happening on the other side to push back out. And 2 members had went back in, and they were in kind of like that snipe point forward. They went in forward when the rest of the team was like fully forward. This was Magic Beans pushing forward on the lockout.
Yep.
And they got caught out pushing forward into what was generally we're gonna get out of lockout from Crushing 20s, and kind of held forward. The 52 was way back, so it was just like, okay, this is now a 4v2. And these 2 are not going to be able to stay here much longer, and didn't really like back up, let them push towards them. Like they had to give up space at that point in time because they didn't have the people to win that fight. And I was like, okay, this isn't looking good. I mean, in the end, they still took it home, but I was like, this could be crucial. If they lose this, they could lose the game.
And I actually and I think with that description, you just gave me what I needed to know for sure, because that was basically, all right, you're trying to go for the home run kill if you were crushing, if you were basically crushing 20s, and that was kind of the point where, all right, if you're gonna go for the home run lockout, you gotta play it pretty well, and you kind of get the idea. The aggro players were just rushing right in, trying to get them out of spawn. But I got the feeling they were way too deep into spawn, trying to make it all count. It's like, okay, we're just gonna jump right in, we're just gonna eliminate you, and this gave Magic Beans a lifeline to work off of, which kind of ultimately then led to, as you know, Nutty going off with the double at the end to basically steal the game for Magic Beans because of the differential in players. So that's a huge win, but not a huge win. That's a pretty fun win there if you are Magic Beans and you do move on to quarterfinals, if you will, against Custom Dreamers. That is not the matchup that we're going to be covering for. I think we're at the next matchup should be coming up here soon, and I can definitely tell you, Debbie, it is Eternal Raid versus Reignfall. Now,
Ooh.
I did a lot of Reignfall during the Ludi this past season, which, by the way, Ludi ended like a couple weeks ago. Can you believe that?
It's
But
wild.
I know, right? Reignfall, by the way, is a team basically on the up and up. I do vividly remember them playing in the NAL preseason, and they were doing too well that they ended up having to push their Ludi setback. But that's just the story I have with this group. But this is a very fun group that we get to watch. DHBF, Demon Dash, Inoki, and Balui. And Eternal Rain on this side, they got a lot of Japanese names. I'll do my best to help to get you through. Puro's, I believe, the first one there. Titan Entei, that is, I believe that is Amegi on the fourth name, and I know the fourth one is Yumaru. For the fifth one, Dolphy rounds out that roster. This should be fun to see these two teams go at it.
Pretty good. Yeah. Again, the names like Reignfall, I've definitely seen it around. I haven't really memorized much of the teams, but I do watch these things each month, and it's memory, and it's just like, okay, I've definitely seen this one, and I know that they've done this, and then you come in and tell me statistics, I'm like, that's definitely where I've heard them from. We're going into this, and I'm just looking at some of the potential comps here, and like there's Zaps, Pens. One of them had a Torrent Hydra sticker. I'm not biased. You've got Dread. I highly doubt we're gonna see my favorite come out. The pencil's probably gonna prioritize that for sure. But just seeing the Zap, there's Decav list and there's Nautilus listed. And for Zones Umami, there's some high points in the sides, the double zones that you gotta take here. Who's gonna take mid first?
I think we really need to see how both teams want to approach it for sure here. We're gonna have a lot of things to keep an eye on. We can definitely tell you that Reignfall is going to be on the purple color side, the Bravo side as well. Eternal Raid is going to be fun. Amegi is going to be the one on the Stanford, and you got Yumaru on the Expo. That will be the names you guys want to keep an eye on. With the pencil and the custom blaster rounding out this comp. Sadly, no Hydra on the board. I know there's some.
No, I wasn't expecting it.
If it was there, I would expect Debbie to be screaming and Pop Gun probably wondering, oh my god, it's actually here for once. By the way, we've been track. Red Ringer is going to be coming out. You got the Zuka, you got the NZF, you got a pretty much well-rounded comp out of the board. But your mid and backline option is going to be the Nautilus from Reignfall. I want to see how they do against a team that is fielding the next blow and a custom blaster from Eternal Raid, which, by the way, Reignfall is down to 70 points or less, and they are doing pretty decently well. But of course, it is a 2-zones map, and they're going to lose zones here in just a bit.
The Pen Expo comp, like normally people see Pen heavy, but Pen Expo, people forget that Expo plus Blaster combo, and just with the sword, just all the chip damage you have with this Expo, plus that extra splashdown is massive, especially for all of this. Like right now, they're just keeping Eternal Raid back right now with all this poke, and you can see the Blaster just picking the one off by the rail. They're marked over on that dome. They want to try to take that dome back. Reef Slider's ready, but Splashdown in the way is chipping down most of that Dread Ringer. But they do manage. Never mind, they're gone now. Blaster got him. They do have the Zuka out. There it goes. It wants to try to find a pick. They're trying to push him back here. Rain's out on the right-hand side from that Nautilus. And now they're just trying to find some way back. And right now going in with that Rain is probably the one way. But it looks like they're winning that fight on the other side. On the outside of the Rain. So they got pushed back enough with the Rain to be able to go in on the side. Actually, the Rain didn't really touch much there, but helped on the right-hand side. But the fight was won, and just look at this shot. Way up deep, and ended up going too deep. And it looks like the Dread's trying to poke out here, but does get caught in that crossfire of the Blaster and the Explo.
Here's something that we need to factor in the more this game progresses, as this is going to be a triple level lead to his own flip here, and that will be the delayed wipe. This is a very kind of pseudo mid to backline competition that you have going on over here, because yes, you have the mid Stanford that has a crab tank, but it's also it's all very awkward weapon. It doesn't really allow you to play as aggro as you can, unless you're able to shark your way through and basically get a few slashes forward. But you gotta hope that your team can help support you with the additional paint that it can provide with the pencil and the Expo in question. So Eternal Raid's doing a good job taking advantage of the range against a team that is pretty much as short range as you can get. And Oki's just using that Dread, using the Reach Slider to just even get a retake of his own. But they don't seem to have quite the answer to Eternal Raid's comp so far, as Eternal Raid has both zones on lock. Demon Dash is down to the late 3. Respawn's not favoring Reignfall in the slightest, and they don't got specials to work off of right now. DHB is just trying to make a play happen here, but Debbie, this is going to be Eternal Raid taking home Game 1 and the triple in amazing style. Game 1 to Eternal Raid to kick us off.
that I can that had to have been difficult on the Reignfall side. You now see what they're pulling out. There's a bunch of range and a lot of combos, and just kind of towards the end there especially, you could see like the things that Reignfall had to rely on was the Reef Slider trying to get something, or the Zuka getting something to try to pick off at least one of those rage weapons and go. But if you get one, then you got to worry about the other two that can still combo with each other and get you in basically one hit. And I could just feel it was like it had to be so difficult. Like this Reef Slider one here will go in, and as soon as the Reef Slider goes in, you're an immediate target to 2-shot, like blast-style shot weapons. And when you're stuck there, and you're not going to be able to get out. So then you go one down, and then what's the rest of the team going to do? Now you're stuck behind that Expo still, that pen still, that sword that's nearby, the blaster. It's so range heavy. And Reignfall didn't have a whole lot of stuff to be able to capitalize on that, unless if they could get the shot in, or the Zuka picks. The Knot could distance them a little bit, and even then, that's still rough to get through. So now we have Rainmaker Undertow, and this... I don't know if the Explo's staying here, but if they're keeping with a comp like that, I hope Reignfall has another range option that they can apply to this map.
and this was something I was very concerned about leading into Eternal Raid versus Reignfall. They didn't have much to counter other than having to bank on the shot, which I think that might have been on the hands of Demon Daz, if I'm not mistaken, where they just had to rely on the Zuka to get anybody from range, because the Eternal Raid can play that one very safely. They have a lot of paint to back him up too, especially with the oddball crab stamper, if you will, being thrown into the mix. So maybe you're picking Undertow Spillway Rainmaker to kind of limit the range potential that can possibly have. You can play a little bit more to your strengths, but obviously the danger of this one being in a best of 3 situation is you lose this one, you're going down to lower brackets, so you only have one map to basically figure out a game plan against this very range-heavy comp, but also Eternal Raid can throw a curveball at you by throwing in weapons on the other fray. So, and the Titan, Amegi, and Yumaru are trying to do their best to make anything different. That is not the pro I was expecting to see on the board. That is a vanilla Splattershot pro with a crab tank on the board. Different crab tank option on here for Amegi, but look at this comp that Eternal Raid has, by the way, Debbie.
I kind of love it.
You forget short range. Mid to backline is on the table for Eternal Raid.
Look, I don't know about you, but I'm vibing with this. Like it's something you don't normally see, but yet, again, people don't realize how well that these weapons can actually combo with each other when it's there, but there is also a weakness to it that can be going around. Like, as Reignfall can get advantage on this team, they can rush down Eternal Raid, but they're having a hard time getting that advantage. So when they can get it, they are able to rush it down, and I think that's kind of maybe why they chose Rainmaker, because it's a faster mode. But Eternal Rain does have the Rainmaker right now and is trying to push the checkpoint. 2 more go down on the side of Reignfall, and just Reignfall is having a hard time poking them out. In short summary.
Yep, and now you got triple splashdowns being used to help carve the path, and now you have Inoki that at least gets one with the Reef Slider, and they're gonna go down at the end for this one. Entei and everybody else is just trying to return backwards. That is actually going to be the pick. Now, this does give Reignfall a window of opportunity to take advantage of, unless they get poked out by the Expo, which Yumaru nearly just did with that Expo. That was a lot of damage. That did slow them down by a bit. And there is Amegi, by the way, with the crab tank being used to poke out Demon Dash, DHBF, and Balui on the back on that side. And you just kind of see, Debbie, I think it's needless to say, this is going to be the most unfun game it feels like for Reignfall they have to play, because you not only are they running about the same comp that they're having, but Eternal Raid can just play as safe as they can. And if they can keep getting pokes, if they can keep getting picks just by taking advantage of their range, it's going to be a long game, basically, for Reignfall, the way this is going. Reignfall's just trying to have to find answers to deal with it, for the most part. As DHB is just going to have to blow up here in about 3 seconds. So you're going to have to go 4 points, and that's just all it is. And Debbie, not even quite the first checkpoint, and Eternal Raid has the first checkpoint advantage, if anything.
I know Eternal Raid is going, like, wild and moving up, but, like, as soon as you mentioned the Explo, almost getting 2 there, I need to highlight how the crab popped out right afterwards to continue the cannon fire shots for, like, more Explo pressure, basically, right afterwards, luring them into that back right corner. And just Reignfall, I can sense the presence, but if they can get up there, try to find a way in behind, somehow, and just being able to get out of this range, get a couple picks here, it would be phenomenal. But right now, that Blaster and the Pro are working together. The shot tried to get behind, but of course was called out going there. It is stopped at 8. Reef Slutter goes in. There is nobody there, but it is going in a precaution. You can see how immediately the last one alive on Eternal Raid going back, immediately going to a spot where they're going to push. If we get rushed down, like, it's not going to be good. They're already just holding ground in the middle, so they can't get past middle. That is something there. They didn't want to give up too much ground, but they gave up enough so that they could use their range to their advantage. And Reignfall here, picking up the Rainmaker again, all like real far back, so it's going to be less time to get back up over to that checkpoint. Crab is out. There's a lot of members of Reignfall, or not Reignfall, but Eternal Raid in one spot, and you could see that Reignfall was pushed into a corner, still getting pushed into the corner. There goes the Pro, going to finish it off. And Reignfall, they just seem kind of stuck right now.
I feel like, again, it's something that we just keep harping on with Reignfall. It's just, how do you deal with just the massive range that Eternal Raid has? I know it's going to be the thing that will just keep hammering home, but it just can't be understated because it feels like Reignfall is just trying to make plays happen. We got to give them credit though, for
yes,
sure, because they're trying
absolutely.
to make plays.
They are trying.
They are definitely trying to get plays.
Look at the shot.
Board
the
here.
shot is doing whatever they can just to try to get to the side. But as soon as they go, it's like immediately noticed and gets pinched off right away. It's not exactly as stealthy as I think that they want it to be, or if they're trying to be stealthy, or if they're just trying to run it down. But it's just being known. The members of Eternal Raid are working together as a solid unit and using all of this poke pressure just to not let Reignfall do anything. Like, this is the perfect amount of Splatoon sheep herding you could ever see.
And also, we also got to note here that is a double off of a Rainmaker. Yumaru landed a Rainmaker shot and got a double off of it. They basically have 2 seconds to work with, by the way, extra, just to stall this one out here. But it basically could be the done deal if Reignfall can't get the pick here soon. They're going to need a few more miracles. Demon Daz does get a pick onto Eternal Raid, but I mean, what can they work off of here in overtime? That's going to be the big question. GHBF is going to be their main Rainmaker holder, but Titan is approaching from the back end side of the map, and they're going to get through the triple to just cap that one off. And Titan, the lone guy who was basically holding the front lines, does their job, and Eternal Raid 2-0's Reignfall. They go on to semifinals.
Oh my goodness. As much, like I said, I love what Eternal Raid is doing with the comp. They're using the range there. For Reignfall, it is definitely one thing to figure out. Like, this is something that you see often now with a lot of, like, mid-range and whatnot. And you have these frontline teams going in like, okay, we got to find a way around. And, like, as soon as you have advantage, you have to take it with no hesitation whatsoever. Otherwise, it's just going to be there. But just the way Eternal Raid had it, like, they had the positionings down. They had, like, when one person from Reignfall was in a corner, they punished it. They just put them into a spot where the rest of the weapons can just combo with it. And Reignfall, like, you could see, like, they tried. They really did. And I felt it like, oh my goodness, I know this pain. And it's always such an experience to be able to look back at later and be like, okay, how do we actually, get around this and beat this properly the next time? Because there is always a way. There is a vulnerable spot in comps like this. It just has to be found.
And I think this is also, I feel like this is a textbook example of how of almost a comp difference and gameplay difference overall. It's like, if your only advantage is basically your Nautilus and Demon Dash just trying to make plays happen with the shot, and also your long range option too with the Zuka. It is going to be rough, to say the least, and I think that's kind of what Reignfall kind of ran into. It's just kind of a buzzsaw comp that just didn't work to their strength. But a lot of credit to Eternal Raid for just playing basically a very heavy mid to backline setup. I know the custom blaster, sure, you can play that a little bit closer to the front lines, but Titan just did what they needed to do, and I also just realized that Titan managed to somehow get into Rainfall space and just getting the triple at the end to just call it off. But that is Eternal Raid, by the way. 4-0 now. I want to also. Yeah, there's dump. Now, Debbie, I know if you know me well enough, you know that I'm a guy who likes to do, who likes to tell us a good story here in any tournament that we do. Eternal Raid is the lone 6-0 team out of day one. They had a 6-0 set record. Only they did get 3 map losses. They don't get the undefeated map record. That's a different problem altogether. But you can kind of see how this team kind of just played overall against Reignfall with the comp that they have, but also if there's anything that is worth noting is according to their team bio, by the way, Debbie, they were literally formed about 15 days ago. And it is a bunch. I think they'll say it's a bunch of solo queue crew, where it's all teamed up as one, and they had some decent results. And so far, they're looking like they're ready to cruise through low ink in grand style. So far, the 10-0 set record is an 8-0 set record, but so far for this group, and they have just looked solid, and it kind of shows with the way they play.
Yeah, like with just that guess alone, like I said, you never would have thought of it because I said it there. You had like textbook example of what I like to call sheep herding, where you're moving as a unit, pushing them into a corner, right? Just into their one space where they need to. They go home where you all just pick them off and go, and it's just the way everything comboed together was great there. And just as soon as I saw the map at the start with the Rainmaker, I'm like, okay, I get the fast pace, but I don't get the map. With the counter pick, I'm gonna be completely honest. I understood the mode, but not the map.
And I will also go and know that's also the first time I think I've ever had to cast the Vanilla Pro in quite some time too. So that was awesome. Let's take a look at the beta brackets here. Obviously, the friends of the Whip Rays trying to make their run through beta bracket up against a group here featuring also Event Horizon also here on the board, along with a few other teams, Pandemonium and Title Temps to say the least here out of the beta brackets as well. So again, the group we kind of call it the cluster of 4 and 2 and 3 and 3 teams, just trying to win their way through beta bracket here. That's kind of what we're seeing so far out of that side. And in case you're wondering why we haven't gotten to the next set yet, the next set, the set that we are waiting on has entered game 3 here. Debbie, Paladins versus I'm gonna get the real. Oh, it's really just Cherry Deep Sync.
Cherry Deep.
I thought there was more. I thought there was more to it. But yeah, Cherry Deep.
No, there's a little thimble at the end of it, but that's about it.
I mean, that's not the important. That's not the importance there. They've entered game 3. I feel like Debbie. I think we're good. I feel like Debbie, we can give ourselves a little bit of a breather here as we get to see the 2-0 there. But I feel like we can give ourselves a little bit of a breather just to refresh ourselves leading into winner semifinals for sure. The preview for next one, it is Magic Beans versus the winner of Paladins Cherry Deep Sync that we are going to be waiting on. So, folks, don't go anywhere. By the way, Glowing Day 2 will resume out of winner semifinals. So, you don't want to miss a thing. We'll be right back.
One micro left.
I'm watching left back.
Hey, jump to you.
They're jumping forward.
Now we're back to a fight for the zone. Both of these teams are around, but 2 down.
Nope.
On to PXG, but grab tank.
Dead! Zone, ping! Oh, catch it! Oh,
No, dude, don't do this. Come on, kill.
nice!
Strike!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Lowing Day 2. But I'm still killing. Debbie's still with me as always. By the way,
I don't think I've changed. I'm gonna look around a second. No, I'm still me.
You're still you. I understand. I understand. Which, by the way, we have entered the winners bracket semifinals. Excuse me. We just saw Magic Beans earlier. We've seen Nutty Crazy Tone Spencer entered a new challenger for them. It is Paladins featuring Tom Enderchase Gaming. I'm gonna say Gaming Golurk. There probably is another pronunciation for that one. And Snowman rounding out this group. We're seeing the same four across the board. Should be a lot of fun, by the way, Debbie.
It should be, yeah. I was just looking and then like watching, like I went and briefly watched the last 10 seconds and like, okay, now we got to get ready to get on the next thing. I'm like, wait a minute, I know the Splatling on Paladins. It was like, let's go. So, I know them as Icy Anchor. They are a heavy edit, heavy Splatling enthusiast, so that is definitely going to be seen. No ifs, ands, or buts there, unless if for some reason they got to pull out something different for a different map, which would make sense. But I'm pretty sure that's already going to be shown on Paladins. I didn't see too much else because I just caught the last 10 seconds to see who we were going to be seeing versus Magic Beans. That's about as much as I know.
And it's always the intrigue of what the lowing crew, what the lowing teams are going to dish out. But I want to see what both teams have here. I do see some fascinating weapons from Ender Chase, and then something I think could be our Dreadringer Factionado, if you will, for Paladins. Now, hey, we're playing more maps. Best of 5 counter picks this time. Strategy now becoming more and more important as the tournament does go along. So with our leadoff map is Ramen Zones. Of course, we saw Magic Beans win Game 2 Robo Ramen in their first round, and it was the Nutty Double that basically got us to lose our minds. Now let's see what story is told here out of Zones. And again, for those wondering, Magic Beans is Alpha side, Bravo side is Paladins. Not many surprises here from Magic Beans. We take a look at the other side to see what surprises we have. Lo and behold, that is a Umbrella from Ender Chase. Not the one that we normally see, the one with the bubble. We have, of course, the third kid off the brush. I forget the exact name. I think it's the Comets off the brush. And, of course, the Splatlings on the board here, Paladins. Fascinating comp to the least, Debbie.
Sprinkler on the roof, Splatling all around. It looks like they really want to try to get that bubble up front. Like, the Recycle Umbrella could paint a decent amount, get up front, and just place a special up there just to get people stationed, and like they could get the heavy up there. The brush can just kind of go around and get just waves of ink out in the corners. You see the brush tried to get outside of that corner but was picked off. It looks like that Zuka really trying to hit that Splatling isn't able to get it, and it ends up being the Brella going down to the blaster instead. Dreadringer has to back out, so they do go. It looks like that hammer is being thrown. It's going right back and does half 2 of them. I was like, oh my goodness, this is quite the throw from the hammer. They do manage to live. The splashdown is online for the blaster in place of this counter, but the Kraken did pop on the bottom right. Reef Slider's going to come in. It looks like the zone wants to try to get capped, but they aren't fully getting it down. Splashdown is going to counter 2 of them immediately in that bubble. That is one thing that's going to counter bubble. You cannot let that blaster get near that bubble, and you cannot be in it. So that is kind of one thing where the bubble is going to get countered by this blaster heavily as long as they play chess with specials.
And also with the thing too, you can kind of see the vision there with the Reef Slider being used in to go with the retake from Paladins, and they got completely neutralized. To your point, the blaster pretty much did all the damage. They're crazy that is for Magic Beans, and that gives them a lot of points to work off of. Now here's take 2. There's a bubble that's thrown in, and the Reef Slider is still available. Yet not a retake in sight here, or not a take, excuse me, from Paladins in sight here, and they have to burn the Reef Slider on the side to just pressure out crazy. It doesn't really matter for Paladins. They do get take of the zone, and they also eliminate 3 off the board. Now you have a chance to lock them out here. Town's just playing with distance. They played that one very cautiously here. And now you get to see Vord using that 10 umbrellas to see if they can throw them off guard. Gets a trade on the Snowman, but a trade favoring Paladins at the very least, unless they lose a lot of ground. Enterchase is going to get collapsed on here. And Icy Anchor trying to be the actual anchor for Paladins here to hold the line a bit, but with 4 members jumping in and Anchor kind of just stuck in no man's land, that is going to be the zones for Magic Beans here. And Debbie, a nice little retake from Paladins, obviously needing a little bit more, but they got some life.
Yeah, it was. I was almost getting worried because the whole bottom right side of that entire kind of lock was in the color of Magic Beans. And I'm like, look, if the Sploosh escapes, they have a clear path to the zone, and then the Heavy's going to be the first target. That didn't happen, unfortunately, for good for them, but they did end up losing the zone. The Heavy did get caught up a little up close by that blaster there, but all of a sudden, the tent is the last alive all of a sudden. I blinked and everyone's gone. Anyway.
I think I'll give you a minute to just be realize. Hey, there's a cure in here. Here's the pencil. Here's Bort that just put up. Also, after the fact that Recycle just managed to stay alive for about a few seconds longer than you expect. And but at the end of the day, though, it will be Magic Beans at least taking off a few extra points off the board, but that's all it's going to be at the end. Now we gotta see how the fights are gonna play out here. The way Breaker being used, they do spot Nutty trying to do nutty things basically on the side of the map, but they aren't able to make the most out of this one. The Entourage actually getting shut down by Nutty. That's actually not that. It's actually not good for Paladins. They have to give up some pressure around the zone. In fact, losing a couple members, and Nutty still being alive here. Stamps one off the board, and they don't quite get Icy Anchor, and it is done. That gets one with the Entourage, but overshoots Bort, trying to eliminate them with the brush, and it's just an attempt that Paladins have, but just doesn't go to much success. Debbie, that is Magic Beans cleaning things up, and they are still holding on to the zone. They could be looking for a KO if they play their cards right, for sure, but that is a pretty strong lead that they can work off of.
Oh, the Reef Slider went in and nobody was there to follow it up. Just a little bit too early there. You can see that they were just being a little bit quick on it. And the Kraken, it can't paint the zone. The only one left is the Heavy. The Heavy's now trying to paint the zone, but doesn't have the full charge to try to do it. Lots of members of Magic Beans are here trying to cover it. It is very close. Looks like the Octobrush did get a pick on the side. The Blaster barely stays. Zuka trying to find, there we go. There's the cap. They finally did it. Wavebreaker going out is going to mark the tent. Does miss the mark on the 52, but they kind of know where they are. That, again, the Reef Slider going in is getting a pick. Crazy follow-up from the Octobrush. Let's go.
You could have not asked for an amazing Dreadbringer lead-in to get Dawn the opening they need to clean up the rest. That was a sacrificial Reef Slider that netted +3 basically on the board for Paladins, and if they can keep the momentum going, that's gonna be huge. But the Ultra Stamp again could have been clutch here from Nutty as they eliminate one. Now Bort is just trying to move forward. They understand it's desperation time here, and the Triple Slash Round is just gonna neutralize everything. And Paladins, what a phenomenal effort at the end to get the initiation and the wipeout. But Magic Beans also had specials that are around. It's hard to count a triple smash when it lands. Magic Beans is gonna be up 1-0. They take home the lead off map in semis.
Very close, and they're just right at the end. That could have been an absolute wondrous finish lockout, but like you said, the specials were online for Magic Beans at the very end, which was able to just get them right back because the specials were used to be able to push up into that front corner. But what a game there. Magic Beans looked like that they were just absolutely giving Paladins such a hard time. Then Paladins finally found their way through, were able to finally take zone, just the Heavy trying to paint with their dear life to just keep it neutral. And then the rest just okay, if we're not going to get this, we got to get a pick on somebody. Then getting the picks, finally getting the cap, and later on going in with this. We're seeing the replay right now with that triple, that Reef Slider to that follow-up. That was amazing follow-up there. But then, of course, you could see right at the end here, I think a Hammer comes out here and gets a pick not long after here. Yep, it's the Hammer, where again, if you're gonna back up, this is the big prediction with throwing specials is, okay, this is a big threat now, right? You're thinking I'm gonna throw it here? No, you're gonna flee, so I'm going to throw it behind you. And then it's going to get caught, and then one got caught by it by moving, so it's a lot of predictions where it's waving it in the air. It's just like, where am I going to put it? Where am I going to put it? You think it's going to be here, but really it's going to be here, but maybe I'm going to second guess it and actually throw it here. It's the joys of throwing specials.
It is the joys of knowing where your enemies are, throwing the specials to. And again, it feels like it's Nutty landing the nice little Ultra Sand that basically turns the tides of the game. It wasn't much, and I mean, that pick needed to happen if you want to get some room to work off of. By the way, the Anchor getting eliminated there with the heavy.
Yeah, that was crucial. That was a primary painting weapon, so... That was
because that was gonna be not just your primary painting weapon, that was also your backline. So if your front line just got heavy exposed, that does leave the room open to flanks, and that kind of just sums up how that game played out in a nutshell. Though Paladins nearly gave Magic Beans a bit of a scare at the end, so just funny how that all works out here. So on the game 2, I feel like I'm seeing the same maps over and over again with the counter picks. Umami Ruin Zones is the counter pick. Paladins is the one that counter picks this one. So I'm wondering what the idea here for Umami Ruin Zones is gonna be. What did they have? They had the Recycle Umbrella, the Dreadringer. They had the Heavy Splatling, and it's the Comet Soft Brush, from Dawn. Yep. So I want to see if they want to run back that same setup here. I wouldn't be shocked if Magic Beans just runs back the same comp here from what we saw.
There is a chance that the Recycle Umbrella might switch to the other one, just because Bubble can be really countered by that Blaster, and if Hammer decides to just make its way through. But there is a chance they just keep the same thing, because you get the Bubble up front, no one can counter it, and just holds him back. There you go. But this could also be like, one of those practice maps that Paladins has that they're ready for. Like, I can see them really, like, if they're taking zone or potentially coming back from it or locking out, they have a pretty strong setup to be able to, like, pick a side, take one, go to the other, or if they have, like, Kraken distraction going from, like, say, the Kraken on the left and you got the others coming in from the right, they do have the ability to take that back. They have all the follow-up they can do there with I know it's not a big Brella shield, but it does take a couple shots to help get somebody situated with the Reef Slider setup, and they have those abilities to really hold aside, but now they have to be aware of what else that can poke them off of, like, middle here, like that Blaster if it gets control. Something to be aware of.
And I want to see how this all plays out. That's exactly what your point.
They did switch the Brella. It is the splashdown one.
It is, and hey, nothing wrong. Hey, definitely nothing wrong with that. If they realize the bubble didn't quite work the way we'd expected, let's just flex over to the other kit. Although this is not the start I think Paladins wanted, though, as Magic Beans, of course, running back pretty much the same comp from previous games. Is just got a pretty nice start there, but both teams not getting a cap of the zone whatsoever here, as it is going to be a couple members dropping. Both teams are just combating right now. Magic Beans comes out on top of the delayed triple there, and that is just Anchor, the only one that is providing the pain here for the backline. But that is Magic Beans trying to see if they can take advantage of their situation. And Town pretty much there trying to get a lot of damage onto Enderchase. Basically, Enderchase literally just won on the board, and another trade off there. Reef Slider is not allowed to be used, and that will be Magic Beans. They will get a one player advantage here. It is just going to be them going past the 60 points threshold here, and Paladins is just looking for an opening to work off of Debbie.
That was the one fear that I had. Like, if the Blaster gets control of middle, it's going to be rough, because they also have that 52, the wall, to lock down the one side. But again, like I said, Paladins does have that ability, and you can see, this is what I was saying. Kraken on the left and the other three push out on the right. And they're trying to do it, but you can see the sploosh is in the way and picking off those two people after the Reef Slider. Now the Brush is left alone on the other side, and the Splatling can't do anything because the other two got stuck there. The Dreadringer is now going to try to see if they can push back the tent, but of course it's going to be a hard one for them. Zuka is out. It looks like it is getting pressure, but the Zuka hits it! The Dread end up going before the Zuka was done. The Brush is going in alone. They're kind of panic staggering right now with desperation.
But I hate to bring it to you, Debbie. The desperation is not going to end.
I know.
It's just not all good, and I think this is also the worst result you could have had in game 2. You had a counter pick ready to go for Umami Ruin Zones, and Magic Beans just 100-0s you for them to be up 2-0. One more map for winners finals too, and that you can kind of feel like there was an idea with flexing over to the Recycle Umbrella with the triple splashdown. Maybe you could have used both the Reef Slider and the triple splashdown for each zone respectively, but because the zones are so far apart too, you have to win fights on both sides of the map. Magic Beans just played everything correctly, especially with a really nice start, and they just never put their foot off the gas pedal from that point on.
Yeah, it was that one setup that I said, like, I literally called the exact setup for zone take right before the game, and they did that exact strategy, and what happened is two got in between with the Dreadringer and the Brella. The Splatling wasn't able to help pick any off at the time. Unfortunately, there wasn't any picks. Like, they were in the right spots, but the specials, like right after, I think they either there was a special that went off, I can't remember if it was Reslider or Splashdown, but they got taken down pretty much almost immediately, and then the second one went off shortly afterwards, and the Splatling just couldn't do anything after that. And so then the brush was separated from the Splatling, which had a bit like the already the 2 down for Paladins to the separation, the brush getting caught, unable to get the pick, and then the Splatling left on their own, which was just unfortunate. Like, they had the setup, just the other 2 got in between, didn't get those picks in return, and that, of course, we see this happen, the 100-0, and then just the rushing in toward right after that that wipe there, that, well, I guess it wasn't a wipe, but that 3 down scenario, basically. You could see just they were rushing in, and then just wasn't patient with the Zuka and just didn't get back together to be able to try to take it back. They had the right idea, but now we're going to the next one already. Rainmaker on Scorch.
Scorch, and here's the tough thing too for Paladins. If they were to win this one, they got to do with 2 counter picks that Magic Beans can use at their disposal. It's a very tough road to crawl out of this one. Ender Chase, well, going back to the vanilla Recycle Umbrella, Snowman flexing over, by the way, to the Orange Dreadbringer. That's one of the Crab Tank on the board here too. But effectively, the main weapons are the same, Devi, here, so I want to see what they can do with the Crab Tank that's available for them. Again, the start of this game just starts off with a brawl fighting for the Rainmaker, and it is Paladins that comes out on top. Only just 1 player up there, and that's Towns, and having to retreat, and this is going to be a slight stagger here. If Ender Chase can keep the pressure up, that is 2 eliminated, by the way. Ender Chase gets value with just the Recycle Umbrella alone. Now, can Ice Anchor slam this one home? The answer is yes. 2 members down, they get damage right out of the gate, less than 40 seconds into the game here, Devi, and Paladins just needs to look for more points on the board if they want to get the reverse sweep started. Excuse me.
They do, and something else to note is that Tent is no longer running Zuka. They have brought Ink back to the field on the side of Magic Beans, so they do have that extra pushing power on the side of Magic Beans once that Tent does get back. They did have it earlier, but Paladins did a good job at actually picking off the Tent. But in this case, Magic Beans rushing forward here, what their comp is meant to do. Vac is now online along with that Splashdown. And there we go. There's the Vac. Splashdown goes down. Try to clear someone from the left. It does go down the wall. Just trying to chase up front for the Rainmaker. Barrier goes down. That is a lot of points for the first minute of this game. But again, or like the first minute and a half. But it's still early. There is a chance to come back from this one, but it is a very hard push to come back from that already at this point. Like at the start of the game, if they keep winning their fights and keep pressing forward, like Magic Beans have been doing, it's going to be a tough one, but there is a chance for Paladins to come back here. They had a very strong start. There's a chance that they can get these fights won and push it back.
Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, that was basically the Rainmaker push, also maximizing the range out of the Ink back from the Ten Umbrella, and of course, Ten Umbrella had to be pushed back by the, the Ten Umbrella got pushed back by the Recycle Umbrella, with that Ink back. And that kind of bumped off the range a bit, but that's still plenty of points there on the board. But also so much time on the clock for this game that Paladins can still get a lot of damage in, especially when you clear out that first checkpoint. That is the hurdle that you need to clear. But you also got to deal with Magic Beans trying to play a very defensive setup. That is Nutty that tried to get the big on the Dawn. Dawn had to pop a defensive Kraken just to stay alive on this one. So the Kraken pretty much off the board, and the fight's happening across the land, and Town picks up this Rainmaker. I think, if anything, trying to put it into a stall position with 2 seconds left to go on the clock.
They don't want, I think they recognize also, like, Paladins does have the ability to push this. They don't want to be able to get the lead, because Paladins, in that last push, they had a really good idea. The problem is that the crab was happening on the top left where that other checkpoint would be. And the sploosh actually went around the crab to get down to go pick off the Rainmaker, which was being pushed back by something else at the time. They picked off the Rainmaker, which has left us in this middle area right now, and then Magic Beans picked it up to put it in the corner. Now you can see the Tent is trying to stall the bubble with the Kraken Brush trying to get it. Tent is above here, so like one shot from it, it's there, just picking it up, putting it in the corner, but the Brush just can't do it alone. You can see now the Heavy here's moved up, trying to add some extra pressure to the side here, doing a good job helping. You can see the teammates from Paladins moving in, getting control of this corner, and now they have a way to be able to get this Rainmaker back up and out of the corner. And the Brush up here just trying to get some work done, but the 52 is able to pick them off outside of Kraken transformation. There is a Vac happening up on that top corner. Crab is also out. the wall able to block it. Vac trying to flush them out of that corner, and now Paladins is stuck back in the middle. There's a hammer that goes out as well. Recycle Umbrella goes down. Lots happening right now, and the brush now just trying to add a little bit of pressure, putting in the corner, and just doing brush the
That was a curling bomb pick in 2026. I think we've seen everything, to say the least. Oh my goodness. And also, Magic Beans is trying to go for the 2-for-2 corner stalls, and they basically made it work. And also, they burned basically, I think, what feels like 2 minutes off the clock.
Yeah,
Paladins has to exert so much energy to basically even get a chance for the push to happen. Now, here comes Apex. Now, they're trying to move forward here with this push. This might also be very mistimed. They have to burn the Kraken also to eliminate the Tenebrel in question, and they can't get the follow-up picks as well. Jumps need to be provided right now to keep this one alive here, but it is going to be crazy trying to pressure out Snowman. Snowman could get picked off here. Recycle Umbrella covers off one end, but Magic Beans understands the assignment. They're trying to put this in the corner once more, and that is the Nutty Gain spotted there, but again, so much energy burned here, and Magic Beans was content with the 15-point push and just played this map to its full potential here. 5 seconds left to go on the clock, and this is just going to be Magic Beans trying to make sure that this doesn't get popped in the slightest, which, I mean, Paladins just trying to put all the pain in that bubble, but there's to no avail. Magic Beans sweeps out Paladins, rooms away. They go to winners. Finals awaiting the winner of Eternal Raid and USF Gold on the other side.
Wow. Again, just wild how immediate within the first minute and a half of this game, that push happened. And it was just Magic Beans was like, all right, we've sealed it. And now we're just going to play stall method. And again, I think they also realized, like, from the start, Paladins had the start of that game. They had the initial advantage, were going, and it seems like it was recognized and acknowledged, which is why the whole stall thing was put out there. Like, at that point, like, you know, it's going to be difficult to get back there with a comp that can do what they're doing there from Paladins. So Magic Beans, again, playing the corner, and then utilizing their comp for it. They have a tent that can do their own thing on one side. They have a sploosh that can also do their own thing on another side, which makes Paladins have to look in two different directions, which separates them, which stalls out the game. So they really used their comp to the fullest after they got away with that first push to 15.
It's so rare, by the way, for the stall tactics in Rainmaker to be utilized almost 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. Some teams just get a little greedy for it.
The debate.
Yes, Debbie's the curling bomb pick is still so classic, to say the least. Debbie, I'm trying to remember the last time that the stall strategy got used more than 2 minutes on the clock. But I feel like that, I think to your point, Magic Beans was just content with the 15 points. That 15 points remained, excuse me, that they had left. That, all right, if we can play solid defense for a while and don't fall down like the deck of cards, basically, they didn't have much to worry about. Like Magic Beans, all right, let's just ride this momentum all the way home. And Paladins you saw from that stall from the first corner, they burned what, 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes for that push for any of that push to materialize. You kind of saw Pounds was also trying to like get any picture in Magic Bean space to make it happen, and it was just a struggle for Paladins overall, and that's kind of how we saw things there. So Paladins has to get the redemption out of lower brackets. They have to await the winner of the Saturn's Reign versus Reignfall's matchup down on the lower side. To see how that looks. Taking a look at that lower side of the bracket here, looking at teams that are trying to make their way through. Cherry Deep Sink and Special Dreamers is the other matchup on the other lower side of the bracket. Excuse me, that is currently in progress. Which, by the way, from what I saw, both teams feeling some players from Japan as well with their lineup, along and some other international players. So I'm gonna see how that lower bracket plays off here. I mean, but our story, of course, on the main bracket side, Debbie, as you know, we've already covered Eternal Raid. They're up 2-1 against USF Gold. USF Gold taking a map off of them is looking solid, but USF Gold still trying to provide a lot of fight, still trying to put up a huge fight against Eternal Raid, and we'll have to see how that matchup continues on.
Well, I might be peeking a little bit. There's a minute left into Game 3, and right now it is Eternal Raid. There is Eternal Raids in the lead right now, and they're playing Tower Control Inkblot. And it definitely looks to be a tight moment up here on that. But going back into just kind of what we like saw here from before. It's just like, again, I gotta mention, like, with the stall tactic again, just going there.
Yep.
Paladins actually, like I said, they got it out of that corner and was trying to go through there, and there was that one moment where it was kind of like slightly out of spectator view, but you could see it right at the end. There was a crab that was happening up on the left side checkpoint. I pointed out briefly in the game that happened, and the sploosh just kind of ignored it and went down around the side and then went back up to pick off the Rainmaker, which was already being pushed back by something else on the other side. So the Rainmaker was kind of stuck in a really hard spot. So then in the end, just was Paladins couldn't get it back out of the corner because it just went right back, and then Paladins had to get it out again. And it's like, oh dear. So that's where Magic Bean's comp went for. But there we go. Now we got the bracket update. Eternal Raid did take the game 3, which was TC Inkblot, and now is going to go on to fight Magic Beans.
That will be the matchup that we saw. We already saw both teams earlier here on this game. We saw Eternal Raid's comp that it's still very fun and also very interesting is what I'll say there for sure. We saw the V Pro get some airtime. Mint Stamper gain airtime here from a Megi. So want to see what Eternal Raid does. Again, I would love to see how it all plays. How it plays, against a team that wants to play with fast pace. You can tell where my brain's at right now. Magic Beans is trying to play with a lot more pace. They're trying to work with Nutty and Crazy on that Sploosh Blaster, the two-headed dragon for Magic Beans, trying to see how they can make it work. And I feel like leaning into this winners finals matchup here, Debbie, this could be a fun little matchup. I feel like that we can see from both teams here, because again, Eternal Raid, the lone team that got the 6-0 in day one, and Magic Beans, I think I mentioned earlier in the cast. No, they were the one that went 4-2 in Swiss and are having a strong day 2 performance, to say the least, Debbie. Sometimes qualifying for Alpha Bracket is all you need, and then you just gotta lock the heck in, if you will, in day 2.
If you really want it, you gotta go for it. So, speaking from experience, from the long time ago, that's how it works. If you really want it, you just gotta be there, and you gotta take it home. But yeah, no, from this one, so knowing what we know about these comps, we have Eternal Raid with the mid to back put together with all of the chip and poke you could imagine, and Magic Beans is more of the upfront and personal kind of comp. Now, what we remember is back with Eternal Raid taking Reignfall had a very hard time trying to even poke any of these out. Magic Beans now has not a lot of range, but they do have different kinds of specials to be able to like disperse more of Eternal Raid, and does have opportunities to be able to capitalize. But the question is Eternal Raid seem to know how to catch out flankers.
Yep.
So are they going to be able to punish the sploosh?
And I feel like the entire and I think that's exactly your point. It's like you got a lot more of an aggressive group now with again, I always nickname any two players that are playing aggro the two-headed dragon, if you will, for
okay.
With well, I mean, either way, it is a sploosh that Nutty has, and then you also have Crazy with the blaster that can do a lot of damage. You could also be seeing the blaster duel that we saw earlier with Eternal Raid. I think they had one player that wielded the custom blaster throughout the game. It was Titan. Titan was the player in Eternal Raid that also had the blaster. So we could be seeing a custom blaster versus custom blaster duel as well. And then it starts to become a little bit of a chess match, if you will, with the comps. Wanting to see how this all plays, wanting to see how it all plays out, and I feel like we just grab winners finals just like that. Mahi Resorts Zones is going to be the leadoff map here, and Debbie, I think anything that we have seen so far, especially with Eternal Raid, is they have crab tank options on the board. They have dished out before. In fact, it was a Megi that had the Mint Stamper and the Vanilla Pro, both crab tank weapons, very different main weapons even. So I feel like for Magic Beans leading this one, they're not going to know it because they also have not played Eternal Raid in day one. Excuse me. Magic Beans will probably end up seeing Eternal Raid's comp leading into game 1, and then both teams will have a feel for how game 1's going to go once the map kicks off.
I do think Magic Beans will have that ability to adapt to it as well in the middle. Like, even if they get kind of... if they do get locked out by Eternal Raid at the start, I do believe that they will play to their pace to be able to get their weapons set up. That way that they can target 1 to 2 players on a side and be able to take those out to be able to take zone back, like, as they should.
Yep. Yeah. And here we go. Winners finals underway here, Devi. Looking to see how Eternal Raid versus Magic Beans materializes. I don't think this is going to be a surprise for those who have tuned in today. It is going to be the very slightly more mid to backline heavy setup here that Eternal Raid has. Of course, their main weapon is going to be the blast, Titan on the blast, which hold out their name immediately goes down, and the Mints never find some backup from that perspective. Magic Beans has a decent stranglehold of Eternal Raid all right out of the gate, as they have to burn a very defensive triple splashdown from Yumaru, and Magic Beans already taking down on some points. Still early parts of the game here. Crab Tank is available from Eternal Raid here, Debbie, but Magic Beans is trying to see if they can keep this momentum going, but they gotta watch out for Titan, who is just getting out of response and may have an opening to work off of.
Hammer taking down the Stamper on the side. Yeah, Titan's on top, but I've got it. I love the positioning of Magic Beans here. Like, even though Eternal Raid was coming back, Magic Beans didn't push into them. They played to the range and kept zone taken, used the special to get a couple picks, and then they move up here. You can see that the tent is just kind of using the shield in the corner, is going to finally get picked off, but just the way that they played to that range, and they're going in as soon as they can get something to happen with a resource, and it is working out very well for them. This Booyah Bomb to counter that splashdown is able to work, and now you can see the tent and the blaster here are focusing on this crab. Splashdown does happen, and now the tent here trying to take the blaster, but the blaster does end up winning here. But the zone is still in the favor of Magic Beans, but now it's going to finally be taken back by Eternal Raid. But it's already down to 9. We still have 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in this game, and Eternal Raid does have a good amount of time to be able to lock and take this back when they get situated. But Magic Beans, no mercy whatsoever. They are not hesitating. They're using their resources as they need to, and they are being aware of this range, and they are giving Eternal Raid a fight.
Here's the thing that is going to be the difference here from what we saw earlier. In the matchup against Eternal Raid and Reignfall, Reignfall didn't response they had was a Zuka on the board. Magic Beans has a lot of good weapons that they can use.
They do.
To just put Eternal Raid back. What? You got an Ultra Sand, you got a Booyah Bomb, you got a Zuka that's available on the board. You can basically quarter the Crab Tank into a literal corner like Townsend Crazy just did there, and just look and find opportunities to disperse Eternal Raid. So Eternal Raid has their work cut out for them. It's still very much doable, but they are looking to see if they can make some momentum. Having triple splash out only gets 3/4 of the zone, but not the full zone entirely. It requires some backup to do it, but they are getting some of the picks that they have on the board. Titan, nice little direct on the board, opens up the floor, and it is gonna be Nutty that has to retreat. I take that back. Nutty throws a 180 onto them and gets the pick on to a member from Eternal Raid. That was Titan that went down. And this back and forth fight, though, the more that this progresses here, Eternal Raid has control, and the disconnect completely changes the math in this game.
Oh boy. Well, this is never a good thing to happen, but at least it's the start. But and it's not like a winning game or anything. But look at this. Of course, you don't back down in times like these. Nutty's going around, is still painting up the zone over the pencil, and is doing their best to be able to hold the zone here. Is about to get pinched, but is able to get the blaster. Sword's trying to find it. Blaster's trying to come out. Explo's trying to find it. But this is the Splooshes mobility. Look at Nutty go. Just going around, still living, is marked, still going around. Teammates are coming back in. Magic Beans is on like a whole other domain right now. They are not going down without a fight. Of course, they want to try to get this last player before they actually focus zone, and now they are going to try to just get a little bit onto zone here. The other one's coming back out. It looks like there's a pinch going down on the left. Looks like the Booyah Bomb's coming out. Nutty was trying to go around, but lost sight of the blaster, and now it's just Crazy that's left is going to get taken down by the splashdown. But, wow. Just Magic Beans, even though they have the DC, they can still hold the zone when they can get there and get the picks. The hammer throw getting one. Nutty's going in. Blaster gets the pick on the side. There's a minute left, and Magic Beans has basically pushed Eternal Raid off the zone, and they got the cap back. There's a minute left, and if Eternal Raid comes back one at a time or does get picked off by buy Magic Beans more, they won't be able to actually get it back.
This is literally the hold on to your butts moment, to say the least. You have to eliminate Nutty. That is number 1 off the board. And if Nutty can still do a lot of damage, that's gonna be huge. Now that wipeout's gonna be critical. This could be this could be signaling the end. Now all that Magic Beans need to do, Debbie, is get zones cap, because that is gonna apply the penalty points. But they are at a massive disadvantage right now. That's the problem. Crab Tank is on the board. They have to build specials to make it count. They're past 30. They don't have much time left on the clock, and you know that Crab Tank's gonna front them off. And this could be the story that could end. But here's the thing: that is a Miggy drops. Now a Miggy drops. They have to disperse the rest of the group. They lose. The more members that get lost, the more support they don't have, and that's the problem. When you don't win a one-down situation, you need all the specials to materialize, and you have to get the picks sooner rather than later, and it ends in Eternal Heartbreak. Eternal Ray gives them an Eternal Heartbreak at the end, but Magic Beans fought valiantly at the end despite the 3v4.
That was actually almost very close, like the wall doing pressure to block, just a little bit of pain off the zone, like the hammers. Just Nutty's predictability is phenomenal. Like we saw the 180 absolute juke to come back onto the blaster, and we're seeing it from the hammer like the hammer throws, just the movement, just Nutty is prepared for this. Like you could just see what the movement's like. A blaster's gonna chase, right? They're gonna follow up the ledge. I'm gonna make them shoot up here. I'm gonna double back. It's just amazing how those thought processes just happen, and you just witness it firsthand. It's beautiful. And the way, even with the 3v4 pursuing, the Magic Beans wasn't going in like fast. They're just awaiting their time, and they would get a pick with the hammer and then go back in the 3v3. Then they would get one more down and would go and take it. And you could see the patience here from Magic Beans, even when they were down here. This is when the DC happened. Penalty was still ticking down. There was no points being ticking down, and you could see that the members of Magic Beans were actually taking the fight versus Eternal Raid before they got the zone. They wanted to make sure they actually had an advantage, even when they have a player down, before they took cap back, and then re-got it again. And look at how these pinches were happening between the two. And even right at the end, it was even that close. Like, it was that close even at the end. What would have happened if this was still an even game with the 10 on the field?
I think, to say the least, this could have been a very different story all around. Here's the thing, Debbie. Magic Beans understands it's a 3v4. They could have had the game. The way they fought valiantly, I think if they build off of it, that's going to be huge for their psyche coming in. Now, they are going to be down in the 1-0 hold. They have to burn a counter break, which is really quick for Rainmaker coming up. Which, by the way, we saw from earlier, they can do it with the vanilla tent. Eternal Raid maybe feeling a little bit nervous with the fact that it took that long to lock them out, and you can kind of see like the trio of Nutty and Crazy just trying to keep the game alive for Magic Beans there. By the way, for those who are wondering, that was, I think, Fort that got ejected from the game basically. So that was a 10 that was gone. So I mean, say the least, Debbie. Magic Beans, if they take from what happened in Game 1 and obviously build upon that in Game 2, they may be able to wrestle this one back. And you can kind of feel, from what we saw earlier, there are multiple ways they can dish out damage against Eternal Raid. I will hold on to that thought. Eternal Raid has a change on the board. Neo Luna Blaster, the Ultra Temps on the board. Vanilla Pro, second appearance from a Meggy with the Vanilla Pros on the board. So it's going to be an Ultra Stamp war, to say the least, here, Debbie, as we load right in.
Last time we saw this map mode, I believe, was Paladins counter pick, and what happened was right off the first minute and 30, Magic Beans got a wild push to 15 and then played stall lock for the rest of the game in the corners, with their comp being able to utilize the sides. But now we have actually a very neutral beginning if the splashdown does get one more, which it doesn't. It is very close, but the pro does able to get the pinch. What a tag team here. Explo waiting, like luring people to the corner, and the pro finishing off the other two right in the back. We see Titan going back up, getting picks with the Luna. This is vice versa now, as we've got Eternal Raid taking the initial lead. The Vax off. Oh, goodbye, Crab. Have a nice trip. But Wipeout now on Eternal Raid, and Magic Beans is just good. They're going to waste no time at all. They're going to get some space back here. They're going to get the corners, and they are going to get set up to go get this checkpoint back.
they may not have a chance though, especially with the couple members that went down and completely getting sniped off from range. And you now can kind of feel with the way this game is trying to materialize more, it's gonna be a no man's land here, trying to make something happen. Triple splashdown for paint here. For the corner here, is if anything has been burned, so that will be a couple. So that is that gone. But even then, a couple members dropped Magic Beans, and the magic that we kind of saw from Magic Beans in the first game, not quite there. Not able to find some of the openings here. You kind of feel the Eternal Raid's kind of just locking things down, tightening things down a bit, even just trying to build off of any momentum they can have and tighten. And Megi just collapsed onto Nutty, who was literally just Nutty in the previous game, and they're just getting shut down a lot right now. Now you get to see kind of this cautious play here from Magic Beans there. The lob shot from board with the ink back shot does get the pick. So no more additional damage. It is just time off the clock. But for Magic Beans, they still need to look for the first checkpoint. Eliminating the Vanilla Pro does lose the crafting. Ultra Stamp lands onto the Snipe Rider. So that should a little bit, but members are going down. It is going to be tight and trying to keep things alive here. And Nutty has to escape. There may not be more additional points on the board. They got to make something happen here. But Debbie, 240 left to go on the clock, and Magic Beans is leading members.
Eternal Raid here looking completely different in this game with the addition of that Luna able to go around, and they are capitalizing on the sploosh this time around. Like, the sploosh isn't getting a lot of paint to be able to go in. They're trying to do something with the curling bombs to go, but is getting stuck now between all of the chips. The paint is down on the map. There's no real sneaky way for them to get in. They're getting just stuck, and they aren't able to get the specials off that they want with like the vacuum combo. The sploosh usually gets picked off first by the time the vacuum's ready. They aren't able to make it through. Now we see the Stamp trying to guide the way for the Rainmaker, able to get up to 43. And now the Splashdown trying to see they go. It looks like the Booyah popped in response, but it looks like 3 members now go down, and the Booyah Bomb saving the life of the S-Blast there. And members of Magic Beans going back in the middle here. You see the Pen is still in position. Looks like the Pro's nearby, and the Explo's up top trying to find another. Looks like Explo did get hit on that S-Blast. Does see it, but Town moving on in, trying to get some stuff here, and unable to save the Rainmaker, which got stuck in the corner by the Pro. Eternal Raid here is just like, okay, if they're going to play fast, we're playing fast too, and you can see they're just not letting him get past mid anymore.
Yeah, and also look at the amount of control they have around mid too. As you know, just not much control left in the tank. Nutty's just trying to do everything in their power to just get to just find picks. I don't think that Rainmaker should have got popped quite yet though. So this Rainmaker's just stuck in where it stands. They're just trying to build something here to make this one count, and Titan does get one, and they will get the second one, and Nutty's just stuck in no man's land. It's 3 members that have gone down. Eternally just has a stranglehold of this game, to say the least. They're just going and having to retreat here. Just holding the line for as long as they can. Just a very stally setup here, if you will. I think if you're Magic Beans, just look what can you take advantage of with the specials that you have on the board. You only have an ink back. Nutty's just trying to find an opening. They got a lot of pain around Nutty, and they just eliminate Titan. That's some of their front line gone, but the mid to back line has done a lot of damage here in this game with 27 seconds left. Now you eliminate the pencil, but where do you throw this Booyah Bomb? The ultimate question: Titan finds an opening, and tries to capitalize on it. They will not be able to send that one home because the triple splashdown was clutch, and this is looking to be a done deal here. Debbie with 10 seconds left to go on the clock. It is just going to be Eternal Rain just stalling this one out, and we are talking about a 2-0 lead entering into Game 3, and Magic Beans has to look for the reverse sweep, Debbie.
They really do, and like this was the counter pick. They were looking strong, and even on that last retake, we had the focus on the tent. The tent had the vacuum, and I think they were really counting on the Splashdown up ahead to do something, but of course the Luna just snuck right through right afterwards, and the vacuum couldn't do anything to help protect. I think they wanted to save it for after when checkpoint was actually taken, but it never got that far. So it was just couldn't get through there. The Luna just snuck by, and now the Luna is doing what Nutty would usually do, which is countering that extra pressure, and it is working out very well for them.
And it feels like it was a complete departure from what we saw in Game 1. You saw the idea there. It's like enable Nutty was the strat, crazy with the backup, but Eternal Raid just a very paint heavy comp here, and you just allow the Luna Blaster to do Luna Blaster things, and it's just all good news from here. This is kind of the point in the game where I was wondering with the 65 points remaining, Debbie, if Magic Beans can find the answer, but you can feel like Nutty was just trying to snuff for picks, to say the least. Where is my prey? Where can I find people every time? but then Eternal Rage just found an answer to him every go around. Game 1, it was Nutty finding value, and then Game 2, Nutty just getting neutralized. Kind of meant that Magic Beans had offense was just stalled out for the majority of this game, man. Now they got to burn through their second and basically their last counter pick in this set, and they got to make this counter pick count.
They really do. So now they know what Eternal Raid can bring out. I mean, Magic Bean still has a good advantage. Like, if they get their front lines brought out there and can pinch really well. Like, they work really well in a pinch. It's just this time, their primary front line was getting caught out. Now, how do you work around it? What else can you throw at them to make them move around? How can we take it in the backside there? Because in the end, it was either the sploosh that was getting taken down, or the S blast was usually underneath on a corner that was getting hit out by the X-Blow a lot. So it was just trying to find that extra opening in the end and trying to get that comp to work, but they couldn't really get the vac set up for the Rainmaker either. Like, Nutty would go back and pick up the Rainmaker while the rest had to push forward and just couldn't get anything through. And with Nutty going back, they lose their fastest front line. So they have to make their way around it. But again, they could not get that vac set up on how they wanted to either. It would be taken down, or another member would be picked out by either the Luna or the X-Blow in a corner. It just kind of knew, like, okay, they're probably going to be here. Let's just make sure we paint this area. I was watching the X-Blow quite often on the back corner, and they would go in and they would put a shot in an area where they think someone would be, and generally it was the S-Blast.
Every time.
Oh, okay, yeah, and just found them out. So the counter pick is Splat Zone Umami. Ooh, this one's quite interesting. They had a very strong show on Splat Zones, which we saw before. So they are able to push back. They acknowledge the range the first time around, and of course we had that unfortunate DC. But now the question here is, how is this going to work out for them here? Because they are fighting double splashdown, X-Blow, and just pick comps. I think this is where we saw the Crab Sword make an appearance.
Yep. I think that was actually the Crab Sword in the earlier set we cast with Eternal Ray 2 in game 1.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. I was like, I can't remember if it was this map mode in particular, but I do remember that out. So this has a lot of the getting one of those two splashdown weapons near mid is rough, because that controls half of it. So now Magic Beans does have the ability to go around, again, having the stalls tactics on both sides, like putting one on one side, three on the other, or just kind of, mowing it down on one side and getting on the other side. So it's how are they going to play this one? Like, I think they have the right idea, and I think they have something set down with how they were playing on Mahi, but now it's just making sure, Eternal Raid can't get mid.
I think that's going to be the eternal question, no pun intended, for how to answer this one. This is going to be the same comp, by the way, that they're running back from game 2. So you saw from earlier, the Crab Sword showed up, and they're like, all right, Amegi realizes, all right, maybe we can make it work with the Vanilla Pro and just keep the momentum going. And Titan's just gonna go back to Neo Lunar Blaster. So it's just an answer for which comp answers what. And right out of the gate, Nutty is shut down, and so is the Crazy from Magic Beans. And that is gonna be Vord, gonna be collapsed upon. Vord is stuck in no man's land. Has to likely retreat here and just been, alright, or not actually, trying to move up with the tent. But they are getting hit with a bunch of X-Blow shots, and then they're going to be collapsed on by Yumaru and Amegi as well. Nutty is shut down, zones control on both on the Eternal Rage end, and this is going to be Town at least eliminating NC off the board, but they got to look for a little bit more control of that. This jump could potentially get punished if they give up a lot of ground here, but so far, Devi, Eternal Raid has a nice little stranglehold of mid again, and these shots from the X-Blow are just doing a lot of damage.
They are, and again, like, the X-Blow can even just hold from the side and go up top there and just poke them out. The Luna can follow up, no problem. And that's kind of how they took that first fight. There's the Luna, of course, just poking up from the bottom, trying to make sure that Magic Beans can't take mid. But even then, the weapons from Magic Beans play more outside of the custom blaster pick. But it can still go. They do have mid here, and you can see that Eternal Raid's just, keeping this one side to the best that they can. You can see that they're trying to get formation. Hammer is thrown, does not find a pick this time. But it looks like the Luna does go down on the other side. Crab's ready to go. Cooler's out. Splashdown happens. The Crab is the only special left here, and they do want to put it on this side. It looks like one is forced to jump out. They do have the Splashdown ready. They want to use it over here. trying to break that crab, but it looks like the tent stuck down in the bottom corner. Pencil able to pick it out, but there is Blaster Poke coming up to Eternal Raid. Magic Beans!
Every time!
Yep, with the cap here now holding out Eternal Raid, finally, this is what they want. They want to hold this down now, because they can keep back Eternal Raid in this corner, but the Expo trying to add as much poke as possible, but 52 wall making sure that they can't, just trying to find a way. 15 ticks left, Kyon.
Yeah, 15 ticks left, and there's a lot of damage that Magic Beans has, and any member dropping from Eternal Raid is going to be huge, as that was Nutty popping out and providing a huge jump scare. They have to apply a lot of pressure with 2 members that have dropped, 2 members that have gone down, Fortune to thwart off Toyn, and this is Magic Beans' response in Game 3, Debbie. And this is what we were worried about. If Eternal Raid has a hold of mid, it is going to be much tougher for Magic Beans. Magic Beans responds with an answer of a KO of their own, and that is the first on the board for Magic Beans. And they need to do a couple more of this. And here's the problem, though, Debbie. Even with this win in Game 3, Eternal Raid has 2 counter picks to work off of. Magic Beans has to be able to respond in kind in each and every one of them. But, Debbie, what a response so far from Magic Beans in that Game 3.
Absolutely. They played like how they did in the first one. They were playing to the range, went off, and of course it was more back and forth. Like you could see Magic Beans was running it down right off the get-go, and then was playing it more how they were in the first game, and then finally got what they needed, the advantage, and just did not let Eternal Raid get anywhere close to where they could do any other like real retake of the zone. Like the Explo was stuck on the bottom, Pen stuck on top, you're being threatened by the blaster from Magic Beans, you're getting threatened by the other extra poke, and then of course I believe we're gonna see a lovely hammer throw right here. Yep. And and just getting denied access of getting out of their spawn just to be able to retake it. That's what Magic Beans wanted the entire time, and they managed to pull it off. So, because if the splashdowns also can't make it to zone, they aren't going to get those big caps, so they were able to keep those weapons back.
How about a story from Magic Beans, though? The day one, which, by the way, they were almost a few tiebreakers away from going to beta bracket to running the winner's final side of the map. So they need to just do, they would have to do a couple more on the board. To say the least, here's our next counter pick. I heard you like zones only, by the way. It's been we have not seen Clan Blitz and Tower Control in the stream session today. Clan Blitz, if you're out there, we apologize. We could not give you any Clan Blitz content right out of the gate in winner's bracket. We go to Barnacle and Dime zones. A counter pick, by the way, from Eternal Raid. Now, with the weapons that Eternal Raid runs, this kind of makes sense. They've been running a crab tank no matter what, and the Explo and the Sniper. They got a lot of paint to just stall out Magic Beans here. Just the question is how do they enable Titan? They have a decent hold so far. So Magic Beans, knowing this, Debbie needs to figure out a way to just out angle Eternal Raid at any point.
I'm gonna be real here. I mean, like, Eternal Raid, from what we have seen, have struggled on zones for the past 2 zones games. Like, they can find their way back in, but have struggled. In the first game, there was a DC. But even with the DC, Magic Beans still had solid fight control until the very end. So, I'm like, we're still taking it back to zones, but the thing with this one is that there's tighter choke points and more area for the ranged weapons to do things. So that's where the advantage comes from here for Eternal Raid, where the Luna can kind of hide in the corners and the Pencil and the Explo can just block it. But again, if Magic Beans gets control here and pushes Eternal Raid back, again, they're running a double splashdown comp, or they were. They have the Luna now, but if they bring back that double splashdown, or even then, it is still, they still have to get them onto the zone to be able to, you know, help cap the zone. And if Magic Beans locks them out like they did in this past one, there is the double splashdown. But if they get locked out here, they can't get the 2 main kind of specials out to the zone to help get a quick cap. So this could end up not going well for them if they can't keep control.
Well, and so far they are having a decent hold here. Again, Nutty shut down again, and Thompson just getting stuck in no man's land right now. They have to be able to break through the stranglehold that Eternal Raid can dish out at any point in time. You kind of see the vision here around the zone. A lot of orange paint. Just stall it out. Don't try to push too far out. They're very cautious get kind of gameplay. You feel like they have to, if you're gonna play the game, we gotta go to you. 2 members have dropped. Triple Splashdown has to bail out the zone, but they get wiped out in a near instant. And this is now Magic Bean's window of opportunity here, Debbie, to just lock out Eternal Raid. This is their chance to do so now. Thomas painting for any sort of control around the map, and if anything, displacement specials. If Nutty lands an ultimate, which they're not able to, that could have been huge, but nope, it doesn't land. But a Megi takes half health. And we get to, and now this is with all specials burned down and only a displacement special in the 52 of being available. A couple members dropped here. Magic Beans likely has to give up the zone for just a bit. But now you kind of see the vision here. Triple Splashdown for redundancy around the zone, I guess. Trying to see if they can find anybody else who is still sharking, I suppose. But Debbie, Magic Beans with a solid response. Eternal Raid responds with one of their own.
I'm having flashbacks from one of the zone's robo games where two members of Magic Beans are deep into base and the 52 is just really far back, unable to help really with the lockout. That kind of happened again. Like we saw that they're painting up the alleyways, but I mean, we were kind of just waiting there and just like, I don't know if we were waiting back for just other things to happen while the other two are going up front. But again, it leaves them to a disadvantage for Eternal Raid to get back on and to get those splashdowns onto the zone, which Eternal Raid wants. There's 2 members down on the side of Magic Beans. We got 15 ticks left for Eternal Raid to cap this, and you can see that just the members of Magic Beans are kind of stuck in the corner, and this is definitely where it's wanted. But I say that 2 members go down on the side of Eternal Raid. Cap now happens for Magic Beans. They can go right forward here. You can see Nutty going right in, wasting no time, and the hammer's out! Gets 2, but the sword able to slash that hammer down in return, but still they are back in the spot here. It looks like they're going to take control of that top left plat area, but Eternal Raid already taking other positions while the rest of the members of Magic Beans comes back, which gives them opportunity to get this crab out to give a way back in to get that splashdown into zone.
Yeah, and note too, the Crab Tank and the Splashdown, as you exactly noted, are very much available. You just have to clear a lane for this Triple Splashdown to do damage. You just have to push the Expo out. That is the Triple Splashdown that had to be used early, but 2 members already going down. Nutty has to be able to respond in kind. They just got to get the trade off with Entei. That is going to likely be the zones cap going the other direction. If Titan gets the pick onto them, yes, they will. Crazy has gone down. 3 members already out of the picture. Now, a lot of pressure applied here from Eternal Raid. This is where you need the specials or an opening to happen here, but Yumaru and Entei are just not allowing this to happen. 2 specials online. Ultra Stamp needs to land right now, but I don't think I see any members gone. Nope, here's the toss, but it doesn't get anybody, and in fact, they get eliminated on their own, and Titan getting the pick that could be really bad news for Magic Beans if the Zuka shot especially doesn't land. They know where a couple members are. The Triple Splashdown, though, eliminating Crazy and Board. This is likely going to be the done deal here, as there is no members left alive here from Magic Beans. Members gone down. Eternal Raid goes to Grand Finals. Magic Beans has to do it again in lower brackets this time, but what a performance from Eternal Raid down this stretch, Debbie.
Ooh, for any Splatstones map, this was the one to take it. I was a little worried there, knowing how Magic Beans was locking out from time to time, but this time, like, they didn't go quite close. They didn't go further than the pit. They kind of just maintained the area and then backed right up, and Eternal Raid was able to get done what they wanted done. They set up the crab to set up a splashdown, and then had that backup one whenever one of the front lines from Magic Beans was trying to go retake that plat up on the left-hand side to counter the hammer, and Eternal Raid was able to take it. So more of a narrower side, more range for those back lines, and of course for the mid lines, basically for just the whole entire team in general. It was suited for it. But again, I did have slight worry for Eternal Raid, I'm not gonna lie. I did. Because there was twice there. Magic Beans had them back in the corner, but again, the first time, the 52 going to paint up, I think they were just making sure that they had another special on the side, but the left side didn't really, had much there. You could put down a little bit of paint. It was the right-hand side flank where I believe it was the sword that got a couple picks or helped on the side and couldn't help with Magic Beans to able to get it there. If we had the 52 wall up there closer, it would have helped kind of hold them a little more. I'd have liked to see that a little bit, but I see that they were respecting the range, just preparing for the potential push that they're going to get and have a backup, but it didn't quite work out for them in the end. The second time, you could see that they moved up closer and did help a little bit more in time. And then when Nutty had that hammer out just going in, it's actually right here that we're seeing it, gets that 1-2, the sword jumps in and is able to get that pick right off the get-go. That was a big save there, because even though it was down there, but you could see that the rest of the members of Magic Beans were respecting the range for the pencil and stuff on the side, and then shortly afterwards, Titan is able to pick off Nutty, and the rest of Eternal Raid is just able to hold for the rest of it with the splashdown to be able to lock up that top and get those two. The cooler, they were set ready to go. The Explo was a middle pencil covering. Magic Beans was stuck.
Magic Beans was just stuck in no man's land, having to play against a comp that, again, mid to back line heavy, a lot of paint, and also the Titan being the lone player to just provide a lot of aggression for the group. And there are ways to deal with it. I feel like Magic Beans had the recipe, but just everything kind of got sapped the minute game one ends. And we get to see Eternal Raid in grand finals there. Magic Beans will have to do it in the lower side of the bracket, which we are giving you the preview here. On that lower side of the bracket, it is going to be USF Gold Special Dreamers with the one winner that takes on Paladins, and the winner that will get Magic Beans coming up here. So, Devi, that is the loadout that we're going to see from the lower bracket side. Eternal Raid will get themselves a decent break before just to get lower brackets done. Devi, it is fun doing this with you, but we got to get our next set of people on the mic because, well, our time is over, and I'm sure Popgun wants to hear us soon. So, Devi, where can the people find you real quick?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Devi Doovie, YouTube at Devi Doovie, and Twitch Devi_Doovie. That's about it. How about you, Kyon?
Kyon2570, just find me on Blue Sky. I am still wallowing on my Wolves loss, but it is what it is sometimes. Alright, by the way, shout out to Jordan who gave us a good production, but Jordan's going to have to stay here a little bit longer. Right out of the break, lower brackets coverage continues on. Popgun and Fufu will take you guys home. We'll see. That is it for us, but after the break, lower bracket resumes. We'll see you guys then.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Loink May 2026. I am Popgun, joined by Fufu, and we got a very rare look at losers bracket quarterfinals. You got bonus content. Not that we wanted to give it to you, but special fun DC rules drag things out. So here we are. Apologies. South Florida Gold is going to be taking on Special Dreamers, and nobody's going to DC this entire match, and we're going to get it over with, and we're going to move on quickly. In fact, I think we're just... Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Uh-oh. See, we're back to communication errors. It all goes back to communication errors, Popcom. We cannot escape this, but we can't talk about how special this match is because we are going international all over again. Special Dreamers is from Japan, from the parent whispers along the grapevine.
No, that's not true. Well,
no, I was given false information. Is that what happened?
Well, I mean, some players have the Japanese flag next to... Not everybody, though.
We're still going international.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, this is from where we are located. I mean, where is Loink actually being run out of? Is it our streamer's house? Is it my house?
Probably your house. I don't know. You tell me.
Is it
You run this thing, man.
The IPL headquarters located somewhere in Europe? Who knows? So yeah, international to someone, I'm sure. Anyway, how are you today, Fufu?
I'm doing good, honestly. I'm glad to enjoy the late wake up of today, and unfortunately, we're gonna go shopping, so we're gonna have quite a time here on Barnacle and Dime Zones. But that being said, how are you, Popgun?
I'm great. I couldn't be better. I took a nap in the middle of the day. I got Waffle House this morning, so I've and shout outs to the staff who've been running Loink. The first thing I saw when I woke up was people saying, "Hey, what's the DC rules?" and help desk. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go. So, apparently one of the players, that wasn't a streamer issue. That was a player on the other end who's disconnecting. So hopefully they're getting back in, and we'll have a match momentarily. But to give you some context, if you're just now tuning in, Eternal Raid is undefeated. They are moving on to grand finals. They beat Magic Beans 3-1. One of those wins coming out of DC, as well as we see everybody starting to ready up into the match that you are about to be seeing. Special Dreamers taking on the University of South Florida Gold. Did somebody tell Nerd that nobody uses Splat Charger anymore?
Oh, no. People use Splat Charger, but not so much on Splat Zones here. Have you seen a match of Rainmaker Popgun? I would know you lost some money there. But already some pretty neutral stuff happening in Zone. I am pretty fond of these comms. They're fine. Seeing that Heavy coming out from USF Gold. Very big fan of Heavy recently. Lots of flexibility, but things are spicing up already on the zone. No real big advantages just yet. Definitely waiting for some more picks, especially if you are USF Gold, who's that Booyah Pop may just get taken away by... Look at that standoff. Look at that standoff.
And it's a trade. It ends up being a trade. Both players staring down each other are the ones who ultimately get eliminated, so... a classic little stare down right there. Ends in a draw, but they'll have plenty more opportunities to throw punches at each other if they're not getting run over by the Reef Slider by the Dread Ringer. Dread Ringer pretty much a requirement if you want to play in Loink, as Tai says no thank you. I'm going to hop out with my Inkzuka ready to go and give lead over to South Florida. Special Dreamers taking the lead here.
Yeah, very much. I feel like we had a genuine minute neutral before we even got to this position in the first place. And the bigger question is Special Dreamers going to actually keep it? Do see most of the specials coming online, but it takes one garbage to crumble those dreams here. How far could these boys dream? Because things are turning pretty orange. USF Gold is going to be capturing the zone, not letting them take advantage for too long. So luckily for them, not too much damage, and now they have the chance to turn the tide. I am liking their positionings. I love how TV Sears under the ledge, unfortunately getting taken out, but like Special Dreamers is already on that counterattack.
South Florida's got these two melee weapons that can use with the Stamper and the Carbon Roller. The key to their lockouts is going to be getting those two players set up. Ty TV wasn't able to get set up anywhere close to what they want to do, immediately under attack because they were trying to push up, and the Stamper nowhere in sight on top of that. So getting those two players set up is going to be key. The question is, are they going to have the ability to do that? Or are they even going to get to create another lockout? Special Dreamers looking really good right now.
Yeah, especially without those penalty points as well. And with timing with the Reef Slider in hand, it looks like there's going to be someone sent back to spawn, almost sent back to spawn, but they still, that's crazy. There were 3 players in that little corner, but it seems that distraction was enough to keep things going. They saw Nerd get 2 with 1 shot. Yeah, if you ask me, Popgun, there's no coming back from this. This game is pretty much going to special streamers as those last 5 ticks make their way for the whistle.
I was about to say, just for the sake of time, we could just end it right there with that little quad. We didn't have to play out the last 10 points, but Special Dreamers doing the honorable thing, keeping it going as they're now up 1-0. Keep in mind, this is a best of 3, and after this, we are immediately going to be going into loser semis because Paladins is waiting very patiently there. Paladins who got 3-0'd by Magic Beans earlier in this tournament. So, South Florida, let's give them a little bit of an introduction. They have beaten Luminescence 2-0. They beat Lemonade Stand 2-0 as well until they run up against the Eternal Raid Nonsense, who sent them down to losers bracket. The teams that go down to losers bracket from winners semifinals historically have a losing record because they are always going up against teams that are on a significant win streak where they're coming off of their first loss, which is why you see South Florida currently down 0-1 to Special Dreamers, who is on a 3-match winning streak. Keep in mind, though, Paladins is one of the teams coming down from the loser side, and they beat Reignfall, who was on a 2-match winning streak as well. So Paladins able to break the curse. South Florida's got a little bit of work to do if they want to update that situation for them as we await their counterpick.
Yeah. And this is my favorite part of the tournament, Popcorn, because this is where people really start wanting to get revenge, so they really want to get through the losers bracket. And of course, Grand is always the goal. Paladins go taken out by Magic Beans. Magic Beans is going to want to take out Eternal Raid, so I feel like this makes for the most interesting Splatoon that we can get for the day, if you ask me.
Well, I didn't ask you, but you gave your opinion
You
anyway.
might as well. You might as well have, because you're going to get it, you know.
Okay.
Like,
All right. So to make it fair, Fufu, I will ask, what are you expecting for today? What is your hopes for today?
Listen, man, expectations sometimes aren't the way to go. You just gotta ride the wave.
What?
I don't know what to tell you. Right now, for this match, I can probably give you something, I guess, because I'm so nice. Special Dreamers looks really good. It looks like they're a little bit more. Is this what you were asking, by the way?
I don't know. I'm just stalling for time because we're waiting on the counter pick.
Well, you know what? Whatever. You're gonna get it anyways. Special Dreamers looks pretty good. If I'm being honest, they had a pretty solid lockout compared to USF, because USF Gold had the potential to get into the zone, but they weren't really able to stay in it. And I don't know if it's just because of the map, because I know it can get a little bit tough for the shorter range weapons, especially on that lockout. But Special Dreamers looked really strong, especially on their holds and their special usages. So I feel like it still could swing anyway, depending on what map is next. But things are looking pretty good. Also, I love this song. Joran, you're doing amazing.
Do you love Tower Control Art Academy?
Yeah, I actually do. Snowballing as all can be, but I don't know. Do you like Inkling Art Academy?
No, but this is a all Fufu dream tournament, because game 2 counterpick is going to be Tower Control at the Art Academy. It makes me wonder if South Florida has a different composition that they're wanting to use than what they used in the Splat Zone's Barnacle one. Maybe they'll drop like a carbon roller or a stamper for a blaster. Maybe they'll go with the Zipcaster stamper. Who knows? But they're opting to go with that here. And see, maybe they can do something to get that Dread Ringer, which it's always as we're figuring out these teams. And one of these teams we might get to know for a good chunk of our commentary here is who's just using comps for specific stages and who just floats around one, maybe 2 weapons, and they just use those the entire time, regardless of who their opponent is, what the stage is, what the mode is, and what the time of day is. They just do the same thing over and over again. So we'll get the answers to that right now in a must-win scenario for the University of South Florida. There is the stamper and the carbon roller. Nothing really changing there. Nerd still... I'm sorry. We do have a change. There is the scoped variant of the... They might have been using scope before. Also, that's a red dapple.
That's Red Apples. We're getting Beacons and Cooler up on the field. Honestly, I'm a big fan of Splat Charger in this map because by the time you get to the second half of the map, it's just shoot the target central, and it's one of my favorite things. And I think that back could be really, really potent towards that final stretch of the match. But that being said, they got to get to it first. Definitely some stuff happening in center. People going down left and right here, especially on the side of USF, who finds himself a little bit on the back foot. But Yasuno here with the Stamper making picks. Nerd is in danger. But they're going to be forced to jump out here. I feel like we're in for another very long neutral, if you ask me.
I was wondering if the Stamper was just going to go for it and try to get rid of that Splat Charger at Respawn Punisher. But they wisely recognized that there is a Gal jumping in. And as we saw last night, Gal is unbelievably broken in the right hands and said, nope, I don't want to do anything with that. So I'm just going to jump out, let the Charger live to fight another day. That seems to be working out for them. Oh, Zipcaster is the adjustment they were opting to make, and they are going to force them to use the vacuum in this really awkward spot. That's going to knock out the second checkpoint. South Florida's rolling.
Yeah, no, for sure. This feels so different than it did the last match. Pretty much all the Special Dreamers were condensed to the bats at the moment, but they are able to clear tower here, but not without some trouble. Inkling on that zap is still alive. They is forced to drop a little bit. But yes, was all the way up in the base, but Special Dreamers able to come out alive to see another day, but not without heavy damage. There is 18 points left for USF Gold, so massive, massive waves as you ask me. And Special Dreamers, you got to make sure that mental doesn't grab you. Hopefully they can push that tower a little forward as it is very slowly moving towards center. USF Gold, I feel like, just has control of the match at this point. They can do, they have the flexibility to pretty much do whatever they want at this point. You have the lead, you have a lot of it, one could say. So
you have stage control as well, and they're opting to go the route of, what if we just got wiped out? What if we just stood on the edge of this ledge? And maybe a little bit of a delay getting up to this bat area here is the Dread Ringer. But they find their way up there eventually. So, yeah, that a little bit of delay might have been the difference in them, unless they just get wiped out again. Well, they're at liberty to do what they want, Fufu. This is interesting strategy by them. And now there's a vacuum one. They're going to get lead here because they got vacuum on top of that tower.
Yeah, well, the vacuum might have been a little bit early. It should be able to push it forward. Yeah, with people in the back taking picks, yeah, that says you're getting the lead. You don't have a choice. That is pretty much everyone down in USF Gold. When I say you could do whatever you want, I did not mean get wiped out 3 times. Special Dreamers on the way to a beautiful walkout just on their first push. That's ridiculous.
You questioned the mentals. Are they going to have it? I'm going to, on my sheet of paper here, I'm going to put a check mark next to mental toughness. Giving up a huge lead early on and being able to find a way to bounce back. South Florida, though. Come on, guys. You got the lead. You can slow down. You can give up a checkpoint or two. You don't have to rush in there. You can build up some specials. You can live to fight another day. They just kind of went all out. Instead of slowing down, they got a little bit sped up defensively. When you got that huge lead, as you were alluding to, Fufu, when you have that huge lead, it allows you to play things differently on the defensive side of things. You don't have to go all out to defend every single checkpoint. And they went all out to defend every single checkpoint and got punished for it. Every single time, 3 straight wipeouts in 1 push.
Yeah, it's like you can minimize the risk that you're taking. It just didn't go. I mean, they got completely collapsed on here, especially you could see where everyone started crowding together. And Special Dreamers, by the way, also did some high levels of just crowding in one spot as well, and they didn't get punished for that either. So I feel like there was just a lot of missed opportunities in general for USF Gold. And I feel like it definitely came with the pressure of, oh my god, we have such a huge lead and they're coming right at us. So maybe you could put a little X towards mental fortitude here on this part. Unfortunately, that does come with being wiped out 3 separate times. I will say they fought like pretty well, especially like during this first part of the game. It seems Special Dreamers also had comfort on this map as well, so it leads to another knockout.
And that is going to do it for the University of South Florida. Hats off to them. We always love CCA representation in our low inks, but they're not going to make podium this time around. They'll have the opportunity to do that again next month. Now, we're moving on to where we should have started the broadcast with you and me, Fufu. So let's start over. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Low Ink May 2026. I am Popgun, joined by Fufu, and we got a doozy of a set for you here. Special Dreamers who are on a 6-game winning streak, going to be taking on the Paladins. The winner gets to move on to take on the Magic Beans in losers finals.
Yeah, something to note about Paladins is that they did go down to Magic Beans around 2 match sets ago. Right there in semis. So it looks like they're going to be waiting to potentially get some revenge. And Special Dreamers are just like, we're trying to just get back to the top bracket. Again, as you said, they are pretty much undefeated in the loser side of things. So I feel like this is going to be a very interesting match.
So let's introduce Paladins, the team we have not seen yet, unless they were on earlier when I was taking a nap and I completely missed on the stream. But this is the first time we're going to see them. They went 5-1 yesterday. The only team to defeat them was the Eternal Raid. Isn't it funny how that always works out at this point of the tournament, where there's somebody who's like, the only team to beat me is probably the best team in the tournament. Well, they beat them 1-2, or they lost to them 1-2. And now they've lost to Magic Beans. So the only teams to beat Paladin so far are the team that is in Grand Finals and the team that's in Losers Finals right now. So if they beat Special Dreamers here, they'll have nothing but the teams that have defeated them up to this point that they're going to have to go up against. And everybody else they've done away with. Let's see. They 2-0'd the Appreciation Collective. That's not too shabby. They've beaten Cherry Deep Sink with a key emote. I'm assuming that is 2-1. So now they're looking to add Special Dreamers to their collection of dubs as we start off here on Splat Zones at Hagglefish. And if you're a fan of Dreadringer, good news. The Paladins are bringing that out along with a zip casting brush on top of it.
Address me. Address me. That recycled Brella calls to be addressed. I'm surprised I'm seeing the recycled Brella make its way into the field despite its, it's got pretty good kill power, but it's an interesting one at that. But Restarters coming out for Special Dreamers. Quite an interesting start here. It seems that Special Dreamers is the first team to get control of the zone specials. Despite going up for Paladins, they are going down to the respawn point. Special Dreamers with a massive control, or majority control, majority control of the area, but not really moving up with it.
40 dunk. Starting to dunk on players in the zone, and that's gonna, well, Nerd holding their ground. You love it when a Charger player is not just a damsel in distress and realizes, oh, a couple of players are going down. No, standing their ground right there, taking care of the threat, and that saves the zone for them. No flip, no penalty points. The score just keeps getting piled up there by the poise from the Charger.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I love my Charger players, and Nerd is doing a great job when they can. Ooh, Zuka's coming out, taking a pick here. That Zipcaster here for revenge, so it's just like dunk really, it's going to the back line, not quite finding it just yet. The zone does get in control of Paladins, but it seems very wishy-washy as players do go down on each side. Special Dreamers suffering a 2 down. The zone turns pink, purple all over again, and despite all these flanks for Special Dreamers, they are able to get the zone. Popcorn, this is messy. This feels like a high school fight or like a pair of cats going at it. Like, this is just messy.
What?
It's high school girls getting in a fight, like...
What? That's not what this...
Okay, you're old, whatever.
I'm being old. You think I didn't have fights in my high school? It
I don't know,
look anything like this. I don't know what high school
I think
you
it's pretty
went
close.
to.
Well,
This
clearly,
looks,
you didn't
This
know.
looks clean. This looks pretty clean to me,
Clean?
especially... Yeah, look at this. I mean, it's a nice orange and purple action going on here. It's pink that you called it a little bit earlier. And if you're the Paladins, you're probably saying, you know what, in this high school cat fight that we find ourselves in, I think we found a way to calm down. I think we found a way to get ourselves established a little bit. Our idea is to throw in a lot of punches with this brush, trying to get supported by the recycled Brella. I think we're finding ways to establish ourselves in that scenario. The question is going to be, can they keep the Charger off balance a little bit? Because as long as Nerd is in the back there established and set up, it's going to be difficult for Paladins to do anything.
Yeah, and speaking of Paladins, they are able to move forward all over again because 2 players down on Special Dreamers with, free space. And so they're going to be definitely taking advantage of that. They have around 30 penalty points to get through, but as players continue to fall for Special Dreamers, they can hold that as long as they need to, hopefully. I just see that Reef Slider waiting for Snowman as they're going to be waiting for any target to really get into view here. Rest of Special Dreamers making their way to mid, but that is a lot of purple on the field. So I feel like Paladins is doing a great job, and if they're lucky, they'll be seeing the lead here within the next 10 ticks. 2 players down in Special Dreamers. What is happening to Special Dreamers? They're certainly not the same team that we saw last set, Popgun.
They were trying to make something initiated with the Dapples along that right side. It got shut down by the brush, and that delayed anything. So now you just got a couple players on top of the canopy throwing down things on the zone just to keep it somewhat purplish, or orangish, I should say. But finally, the Dapples comes back into play, this time connecting with their rolling out of the zone and is able to attack things from there. So it seems like the Dapples is the breakout specialist for Special Dreamers. So if the Paladins can get control of these things yet again, they just got to focus on that Dapples.
Yeah, Dapples is quite the thing. Don't want Beacons or Cooler Up, and
It's big
beautiful
if.
wipeout. Yeah, big ifs. Beautiful wipeout for Special Dreamers. They're going to be seeing that advantage again. So the chance to get the lead back from the hands of Paladins is very strong, very likely. But the downside for them is that Paladins is going to be coming in as one big force. They are going to get a lot of points on the board, but seeing the specials online from Paladins, especially that Reef Slider, it could make some waves. I know Dreads have not had the biggest track record with Reef Sliders as recent, but I feel nothing's actually happening, Papa. Absolutely nothing. That is Special Dreamers' lead.
Well, a lockout is happening, and they're using a bubbler on their own side of the map just to can't even get anything going here. A couple players going down. What? Nowhere near the zone, though. It was just the Splatling doing everything they could, and it seemed like the Dreadringer was just trying to find a shark. I'm not quite sure what that was. Get to the zone there, start attacking it. Special Dreamers rallies up the win streak to 7 games in a row, and they're 1 win away from taking on the Magic Beans and losers
Magic
finals.
Beans. I don't know. This is again. This match felt like a high school fight, like high school cat fight. This is what it was. A lot of back and forth until it wasn't. Special Dreamers, I think, did a pretty good job at the end, just holding Paladins back. But I also feel like Paladins got a little bit scared towards the last part. It's almost like they just didn't want to push forward. It was like all 4 of them just kind of stopped like around that canopy area, and I was like, dang, that's unfortunate, because they had all the manpower to get in there and potentially do something.
That last play was just that we saw in the replay was just really incredible. The Octobrush getting a triple, and then the Charger not escaping, opting to take a shot, able to connect with it. It's just kind of moments like that where you don't give up on a play until it's completely helpless and you got to get out of there. Instead, standing your ground and making the key play. That is what Special Dreamers, that is mental. That's all mental right there. And when you can back up those strong mentals with a confident play on top of that, that's when a team becomes dangerous. And that's when a team is looking poised to win a tournament. Like this, the still Special Dreamers a long way to go. They haven't even eliminated the Paladins yet, who after about the halfway point, the Paladins were able to get set up. But now they get a counter pick, and we get an opportunity to see if they can find something they want to use. That, hey, we recognize this in that last game. This special kind of stage that we want to bust out here would be a huge advantage to us, and they're going to go with Clam Blitz at Barnacle and Dime. Maybe trying to find some zip casting angles they want to use here.
I mean, it's pretty open still. I think we're keeping the pattern of pretty open maps. This is, again, another bold Tetris piece. I don't know. Clam Blitz is interesting. I mean, if they can get a really strong push forward, it could be really beneficial. I feel like this is definitely favored towards whoever gets the first attack. But, again, how long the neutrals were during last game makes me a little bit worried for both of these teams anyways. So I definitely just think it's we're going to spend 3 minutes in neutral and then someone's going to get like 60 points on the board, I feel.
Well, that'd be fine with me. You know, I'm all for watching fights as messy or clean as they may be. It's what else am I going to do on a Sunday afternoon here? So Clam Blitz, Barnacle, and Dime is the call for Paladins. Again, this is a best of 3. And yeah, the real story here, Special Dreamers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight wins now on the losers bracket side. And by the way, Magic Beans is the team that sent Special Dreamers down to the losers bracket. So whoever wins this one, it's going to be a rematch for Magic Beans against the team they've already defeated in this tournament. And actually on this very Sunday, as we see, we see the decaf coming out in place of the Octobrush. So no Zipcaster, instead they're going to use Big Bubbler.
Big fan of this, honestly. I'm always a big fan of Decap. It has a massive hitbox and can just really get in there when it needs to. But unfortunately, Paladins is going to have the first 2 bloods, both the recycled and Decap being sent back to spawn. Special Dreamers having the perfect opportunity to just move forward. They do need clan economy. What? That's crazy. The fastest Uno reverse known to man in Reef Sliders. Paladins can protect their base a little bit longer, 2 down on Special Dreamers. Again, say thanks to the Reef Slider that countered Special Dreamers Reef Slider. That was hilarious.
I just realized the Paladins have double bubbler. Because I didn't know what the kit was on that recycle. But yeah, they got 2 bubblers that they're going to use offensively somehow. So they basically just got the Reef Slider as like their initiation special. And then they're going to set up a couple of tents if they can find ways to do that. Because it's just the wave breaker they have as well. So not the most initiation you can use with the specials that you have here with the Paladin comp. So they're going to have to find ways to be very clever with their usage of these bubblers if they want to be effective in taking map control.
Yeah, and speaking on that note, it makes it worse when you realize that Special Dreamers has a cooler on board, so they have the luxury of playing a little bit faster, even, dare I say, a little more recklessly if they really feel like it. So that can be a little bit dangerous for Paladins, but it seems like they're holding up their ground pretty okay.
Like
Yep, they're able to hold their ground. Bubbles being placed offensively, but it's just one last player left on Paladins, so we're going to be attempting to get some points on the board here for Special Dreamers. I see Nerd was with that power clamp, using that back as a calling cord to send their teammates forward, and the first points are being made for Special Dreamers.
Yeah, just from a special standpoint, Special Dreamers has a much better scenario of how they can knock on the door and put up points quickly if they need to. A delayed wipeout, the Dapple's opting to just go for it. That's not going to be well met by the Paladins as they get control of mid. So yes, early points going to Special Dreamers, but they lose stage control in the process, and now we're going to have to see what can those bubblers do along with the wave breaker to break through the defense. Special Dreamers is pushing up, and it looks like the end result is we just got to back up. Oh, and lose some power clams in the process as well. Oh, well.
You just get Reef Slider. That also helps too. You know, just casually get 3 with them. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do in the face of a Reef Slider? They went inside the bubble, and some extra points are going in for Special Dreamers, but you can't play the same trick twice. Dread finally being sent back to spawn, but Special Dreamers with the most control here in center is able to keep things pretty stable for the rest of their team, which is excellent. You want to get those beacons down, get as much space kept as possible. They do have a good chunk of clamps in their favor, and with Paladins having pretty much just defensive specials, they are forced to use that bubble a little bit more aggressively, but it's gone just as fast. Special Dreamers is making me a little bit nervous here. They are holding the ground, but they are starting to lose ground at the same time. There's a little bit of stepping back here happening.
Again, Paladins can get to the door. They just can't bust through it. And I mean, the bubblers, what is that really going to do here? The Dapples isn't going to be wary of that. We've seen the Reef Slider not care. Instead, it's like, oh, you guys are trapped in here with me instead. So, yeah, you're going to have to just find ways to get splats on top of this. Easier said than done when they got a vacuum they can use to just escort players into the enemy base and score at will. Special Dreamers, oh, well, here's another window, because you don't want to get wiped out here if you're the Special Dreamers and give up all the stage control. The Dapple's doing a good job of staying alive, drawing attention. Look at me. Look at me. It gets a splat on top of it. Works a trade out of that. What a play by the Red Dapples.
Yeah, no, I love when these players fight to the very end, but things are definitely starting to spice up as Paladins may just see some points on the board soon if they can continue this offense, slowly but surely pushing Special Dreamers a little bit back. I do see that bubble ready from Ender Chase here, but not really any moving forward. I get it. I think this comes with the lack of offensive specials. They're all called out! My goodness, Dapples in a dream. That is all of Paladins sent back to spawn.
And that's just kind of tournament nerves getting to you right there. We're down 1-0 in a best of 3. We're running out of time. We know the Dapples is right there. Oh, we need to start stepping up into mid and making a play hatch. Oh, right, the Dapples is still there. They're going to come behind us and just get a huge triple. Now, one more chance, though, because this is essentially a wipeout because the last player alive did jump back. So Paladins, if you had a game plan with the specials you wanted to build up, this is your opportunity to do it, and they all, well, that was their opportunity.
Yep.
Special Dreamers just too good. They're just too good. Who let them in?
Okay, and then they break the barrier anyways. They put a little bit of salt in the wound, but that's okay. Whatever, guys. They did do a really good job at keeping Paladins out. And again, I really want to point out those specials. I feel like with just even one more initiation special, this could have looked a little bit different on their offense. But Special Dreamers also just did a really good job in general, holding the fort, keeping these going. Some sneaky power clams here and there, and that is going to be 2-0 in their favor. They're able to get that rematch again to Magic Beans here.
And the frustrating thing for Paladins as they look back and VOD review this match is realize they had like 3 different chances to where they had control of mid, they had clams built up, they just didn't have a way like the Special Dreamers do to just work their way into the enemy base even if they don't get any splats. Because the bubblers weren't going to do anything. The Reef Slider can try to create some chaos, but then you're just going to follow it up with a wave breaker. So they're got to find ways to break through that more neutral defensive position that the Special Dreamers were presenting to them. And as you pointed out, the difference in the specials, and there you go. What is Big Bubbler going to do against that? But still, Paladins, they the only team that's going to beat the Paladins are the teams that finish on the podium this entire weekend. So a very strong showing for them. And with a little bit of VOD reviewing, they could very easily be a team that wins the tournament next month. But we are done with them for now. Special Dreamers 8-0. Moving on to a rematch date against Magic Beans in Losers Finals.
Yeah, and the question is, who's coming out on top on this one? Again, Magic Beans, it's strong. They took both Paladins and Special Dreamers out earlier in the bracket. I remember seeing these guys last time I did Low Ink, actually. It's like a little reunion.
You remember Magic Beans? You do?
Yes, I remember.
What can
Magic
you tell
Beans.
us about Magic Beans?
I remember the name. It was quite a while ago.
Okay. Fair enough.
It was months ago. It was quite a while ago. Gotta cut me some slack.
Okay. Well, we'll take a little deep dive here into Magic Beans. They were on stream a bit earlier. They were 4-2 yesterday, which means they're at the mercy of opponent win percentage, whether they would make alpha bracket or not. And the RNG rolled into their favor. Who was the teams that beat them yesterday? S5P Squared 3-0 them, and Cherry Desync 3-0 them as well. But still, they found the way. Alpha bracket is all about just qualifying, baby. You just got to get there. And Magic Beans have been on a tear all day long, crushing 20s. How about you get crushed 2-0 by us? Special Dreamers, you got 2-0'd by us as well, and you're coming back for more. We're more happy to do that. We would have been fine playing the Paladins as well because we 3-0'd them earlier. And oh, by the way, they almost beat Eternal Raid in a 3v4 because they had a DC on Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi Resort.
Serious?
Didn't get the dub and ultimately lost the match altogether 3-1. But Magic Beans, when they have all 4 players ready to go, or even when they only have 3 players ready to roll, they've been looking pretty solid all day long, even though they took 2 losses yesterday. 2 sweeps yesterday. They got swept 0-3.
We were talking something mental fortitude or something. You know, they came back strong, and honestly, we also have seen if you have beat someone in the bracket 3-0, there's a non-zero chance they sweep you back later in the bracket. Magic Beans has been waiting for a little bit, so they could potentially be a little bit cold depending if they continue to play or not. But we are going to be starting on Scourge Flat Zones. Quite the interesting one to start on. I know I'm Arizonian or whatever, and this is our map, but I am indifferent towards Scourge. Pretty big block in the center to kind of block everything, and a massive zone.
This is, you think this is modeled after Arizona?
No. This is just our like, this is our stage. You know how like Bouillabaisse has the Hammerhead Bridge, or SoCali has Mahi Mahi. We have Scorch Bridge.
Now I believe it's Umami Ruins.
No,
Is
it's
a-
Scorch Bridge.
No, I mean
No,
I think it's supposed to be Umami Ruins.
No, but it's
that's
not.
what it says on
But it's
Sindao.
not.
What do you mean it's
No,
not?
it's not though.
I mean they're the same
Oh,
place.
you're talking map. Wait. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I-
Sorry, I thought you were just taking about Arizona for a second. Oops. Anyways, hey,
But
man.
you know what? I would have given you that because Umami Ruins and Scorched Gorge literally look like the same aesthetically. Boring. And
okay. Well, Scorch Gorge has a little more color in the back. The rocks look cooler in the back, I guess.
okay. But regardless, if and I'll harp on this yet again. If Team Order had won the Final Fest in Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3 would be so much of a better game. Be so much better. That's
Okay,
why we're
Popeye.
stuck with you. No, would you please?
Okay. You finish. Finish first. I'll go after you. There you go.
Umami Ruins is ugly and it's chaotic. Scorched Gorge is disgusting, but it's chaotic. If there was some order here, we have some more futuristic cities. Everything would be nice and pretty. Now, what is your counterpoint?
Clearly, you've never seen Lemuria Hub. But
No, I haven't because we don't play it in tournaments. So no,
Yeah,
I
good
don't.
point.
I don't know what you're talking about.
listen, Popgun, you underestimate the development time of Splatoon 3. I mean, overestimate the development time of Splatoon 3. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Yeah, you
so-
told me to assume a Splatfest is gonna change. Nintendo, don't come after me. I'm totally getting jumped, dude.
It's too late. I mean,
It's-
well, who
uh,
isn't
whatever.
getting jumped these days when it comes
good
to
point.
Nintendo
got me
related
yet.
nonsense, unfortunately. By the way, a special shout out to the European players that are playing in this tournament. You are allowed to do so, and we are more than happy to have you here. Splat Zones, Umami Ruins, and okay, what are we doing here? One person said they need to go to the bathroom, and then as soon as they come back, someone else had to go to the bathroom for the other team. And now, so fair enough. We've to be honest, we've been just kind of rolling with this. I think we're back on schedule. So shout outs to Special Dreamers for getting a bunch of 2-0s. Actually, I think that's had a huge factor into this one, and no DC and nonsense on top of it, which is
I love
awesome
to
as
see
well.
it. Like, honestly, to be able to get back on track, it's kind of like a land magic almost. It's just like, oh, we could just do that. So yeah, thanks, Special Dreamers, for being super cool. Also, how did you pronounce this map again? Remind me.
Umami,
Umami, not umami. Umami.
yeah,
I think
like
you're the only
like
person I've ever heard say it like that.
no, it's like when I look at my mom, and I say you are my mommy.
Oh
Umami.
no. Oh no.
And I'll tell you this, I have no idea. But I have are you a Mako Mart or a Mako Mart person?
I do both. I switch between the two.
Okay, the official pronunciation from the overlords on high is Mako Mart. So
Mako
that
Mart.
much I know. If you say Mako Mart, you are literally making up something that doesn't exist because that is
Okay, well, how did
not
you make up
the official.
How'd you make?
I
up a
didn't make
third
it up, I'm just
pronunciation?
reading it.
You made up a third pronunciation.
For
okay,
what?
for Macomart, Macomart, whatever. Okay,
Whatever, it's
anyways, we're getting
Mako.
ready to go. It's enough. We're going in. There's a tent umbrella. Say thank you to the people for giving us tent umbrella action. But again, Magic Beans here, definitely pulling up quite a magic comp. I love the tent umbrella, but their Squish is going to be the first player to go down. Definitely the action is picking up, and Magic Beans looks to have the main advantages so far. Their players being pushed up a little bit further, but oh my god. No, yeah, that is basically all the special Dreamers down on the board. First zone caps are going to Magic Beans.
So there is an objective here. It's splat zones. Both teams say, nah, the objective is punching each other in the face. We'll worry about getting the zone when everybody's dead. And that seems to be the case. Oh, yeah, right. Magic Beans starting to calculate things. Man, that was an aggressive opening by both teams. The Sploosh, the Dapple's just going for it.
Yeah, quite Yeah, probably the most aggressive opening we've seen all block, if you ask me here. But things are starting to boil up again. Players all in mid. That Hammer's in the backline. Hammer's in the backline. Who are you? That's going to be our beautiful Death Umbrella. That is 2 down on Special Dreamers. Magic Bean showing why they were this late into the bracket already. They are moving forward. Again, I love how there's no hesitation. They're like, we got to go forward. That's just it. And forward they go.
Forward they go. Magic Beans in control, you know. Now, the Reef Slider nonsense doesn't work out that great here because they're 2 zones and they're so far apart from each other. It can only just stall out things. You can't just immediately cap it on top of it. So there's a little bit of a favor into the Magic Beans pot as far as this stage is concerned. I bet the Sneeze take over.
Yeah, but that is going to be switching in tides as Special Dreamers finds a way in space of Magic Beans, waiting for an opportunity to move maybe a little bit forward here, but that's Blues tossing a hammer, not finding anybody. It's fortunate for you, Nutty, but they are going to be caught in a little bit of a corner with the rest of their teammates. Oh goodness, these guys are scaring me. Magic Beans, the last thing you want to do is be in a corner, but there's a gal there. 3 players down on Magic Beans, and Special Dreamers looks like they're going to be getting more points than they bargained for this push.
Now, this is your high school fight that you were looking for. Just nonstop chaos all over the place. And oh, by the way, while this is going on, Special Dreamers is knocking on the door of winning 9 straight as they are piling up the score here. Come Magic Beans with a couple of specials collapsing on top of the zone. A trade with the gal, and now Magic Beans lives the fight another day here in Game 1.
Yeah, nearly joining here as they have 17 points left here for Special Dreamers, with Magic Beans ready to bring the chaos back to Special Dreamers. It seems that they are giving them a little bit more opportunity here. Crazy did have a splash out, getting quickly taken out by the Resident Charger here. I love Chargers. I don't know if you've noticed that yet, but I love Chargers, and the zone is going back to Special Dreamers' favor with a little bit of help from a Reslider, but Nutty turning the tides all over again. Man, I thought this wasn't going to be a high school fight. You were completely right. This is very scrappy.
Welcome back, nerd. Welcome back. Magic Beans did not miss you at all. You're immediately back in and taking some pokes and getting some splats on top for a bit here. Okay, we're taking a look at the tent, and this is a tent that was working pretty successfully in the loss that Magic Beans had a little bit earlier here. But how can they find ways to work around it? We've seen this tent kind of in some solo scenarios. Can they start finding ways to combo on top of it and get established here? Special Dreamers continues to hold on to their lead. This awkward tug and war is just going to keep working out into Special Dreams' favor.
Yeah, and it seems like they were really raring to take revenge onto Magic Beans. I mean, 2 down again on their side. What did you see?
So they deployed the tent and Nutty stuck into the tent, so they didn't go after the tent. Now they're getting punished on top of it. A triple. Oh, you sneaky dog. Oh, what a play by the Magic Beans. They blow it wide open.
All it takes is 1 sploosh, Popcorn. That's all it takes, 1 sploosh to ruin your day. And Magic Beans, they have 10-6 left on these penalty points. They can very well, with another 2 big pushes here, can take the lead potentially. See board with that Zuka hand, taking out Nerd. That is massive, taking out the backline, and that's almost a wipeout on Special Dreamers, and that is pretty much the wipeout. Magic Beans, they may just be knocking this out soon, Popcorn.
Do they have an emergency special? Got a Reslider ready to go. That'll be enough to neutralize at least one of the zones. And they're opted to go in the backside here, trying to use the Zip Caster and uses the Reslider away from the zone. Gets splattered on top of it. They just got the vacuum ready to go. Magic Beans. I said, would it be great if they worked with the tent? And they said, well, hold that thought. We got a sneaky play for you with our sploosh that ends the game immediately. Magic Beans, I see you.
Genuinely, I think Nutty, that was game saving. I can't even lie. That was ridiculous. Like, imagine going about your game and just a sploosh shows up. Like, that's Special Dreamers reality right now.
And we take a look back at the replays here. Here's the opening where everybody's just going for it. Let's just get some splats right away. There's some frustration. Special Dreamers, even though they have won 8 in a row, this is the team that swept them out of winners bracket and put them down here. But this is I think this is yeah, okay, so here's Nutty. All right, no, that's not the play initially. This is just Magic Beans trying to find a ways to extend things a little bit longer here and doing a good job of it on top of that as well.
Yeah, Yeah, we're just
Not
waiting
too
for like
bad.
V play. We're just waiting for like a
Look,
V.
look, look,
Look,
look, right on the
I know
top.
you're eager to see.
Going
Listen,
in with the tent. And shout out to our streamer Joe Ryan for finding this. And everybody's going to jump on top of this as well. But yeah, they had no clue. They had no clue.
Yeah, and, like the fire rate was ridiculous on Sploosh once you get really close. Like there was genuinely nothing they could have done to really get out of the situation by the time they noticed Nutty there. There was just, yeah, I mean, you can't expect that out of Special Dreamers. But hey, it's your favorite map popcorn. We're going back to Tower Control, Inkling Art Academy. So we're definitely getting a little bit more chaos back on the board. And frankly, I'm all for the chaos. Honestly, this match feels a lot closer than I anticipated it to be. Magic Beans did 3-0 them last time, and despite the score showing 1 for Magic Beans, that was much tighter than I expected it to be.
Well, that was just one game. And Magic Beans are now 4-0 today. Or actually, no, they're 3-0. They only played a best of 3 earlier, so they're now 3-0 against Special Dreamers, looking to make it 4-0 on the Special Dreamers counter pick of Tower Control Inkblot Art Academy. If you were watching earlier, shout outs to you for paying attention. This map was counter picked against Special Dreamers by South Florida, and they gave up a huge lead early on and then went from 0 to 100 real quick to counter them on top of that. So maybe they're thinking here, let's find something we can do to keep Nutty in front of us and make sure we don't get any more flanks. But they're going for a flank right away down, and the Sploosh just going right off the bat, and they're going to get a triple on top of it. Hello! Look at the pressure being put on by Magic Beans.
At an opening. Oh my goodness. Magic Beans bringing the energy moving forward, and they're still going forward with it. They are going to be losing their buddy here, but Town is ready to pick things up. Almost going to take it up themselves here, just fighting it good. You are getting greedy, nearly going down themselves in a fight with a Dread, but this is massive space for Magic Beans moving forward here, and not even a minute into the game. I do hear those back, I do hear those specials, but there's some a little bit of trouble here in the back near the tower, but able to get out of it just fine. Crazy, you are very lucky.
Oh, they passed it. They barely passed the checkpoint. That is massive. So there you go. The opening minute. How'd you get over there? How did you went all the way around the world and now you're in this awkward spot? Oh, stop it. Stop being so silly. We can't see all of this at once. Come back, Tent.
Oh my goodness.
What are they doing? What are they doing? Oh, they're the only player alive right now, too. They did a little spin. Did you see that? Oh, they're cheesing on them. And they're still spot camping. Somebody ride the tower. What are you doing?
This is the most entertaining game I've seen in months. Oh my god. That's ridiculous. Imagine being a tent umbrella in the backline, so just taking everyone that's remaining out and getting the spin in the middle of a tournament run. Are you serious? That's aura.
Well, it might be the downfall of them as well, because look, Special Dreamers, they're starting to get in position, and they're collapsing all over the plat area of Magic Beans. 2 of their players going down for Special Dreamers, so this might not be the, well, players are still jumping in because they got vacuum support. They might find a way to attack this second checkpoint after all.
They might just say, yeah, there's a pretty decent counter. There's some bigs too. Some decent counterplay there from Magic Beans. They are able to keep Special Dreamers from getting that second checkpoint. Lucky for them. And I think that's just actually pretty massive. The less that Special Dreamers has, the better for Magic Beans here. As the rest of the players do make their way towards mid, seeing that Booyah Bomb ready. What are you going to do with the Booyah Bomb up there? Never mind, you're going to be able to toss it. I thought they were under the ledge, so I was a little bit concerned. But battles continue to come out for both teams. Most of Magic Beans fighting the way back to the respawn point. Special Dreamers now has another opportunity to potentially get the next checkpoint that they've been waiting for. And
this is not a good scenario for Magic Beans, because they're the tent playing very disjointed, wasting the Zuka right there. Nutty able to come down and defend them a little bit. So Nutty being able to make a great play of shutting down what could have been a push. But right now Magic Beans way too loosey-goosey, and it's not being punished enough by Special Dreamers, but that is something you can take advantage of here. If you find ways to get a couple of splats, get some players out of position, you can be the more coordinated team, and you can start pushing up with that tower. There's only 1 checkpoint lead for Magic Beans here, and plenty of time left on the clock.
for sure. Things get a little bit dicey for Magic Beans the way they were playing, as you said here, and punishment is definitely on its way. Special Dreamers is able to take 2 down off of Magic Beans, waiting to take the tower here. Oh, you know, there's the problem. There's a tent in the back line. Now they can start moving forward, but it does give a little bit of time for the players of Magic Beans to make their way back into spawn. Again, players consistently going down for Magic Beans. It's actually kind of insane how consistently they are always one player down. And Special Dreamers, if I am them, I want to take complete advantage of that, and they're doing so excellently. Maybe a little bit of an early splashdown if you ask me, but despite the cleared space, that's all their specials use pop, but this could go either way here as the tower reaches the second checkpoint.
Can they find a way to get across this, though? The tent getting eliminated, but doing a good job of drawing a lot of attention away from the tower. But that is going to be the checkpoint cleared. And it is tied, though. Can they just get a smidgen past it? They do, jumping onto the tower. That is lead for Special Dreamers. And they can get a whole heck of a more on top of this as well. The tent just floating farther and farther away from the tower as they build up a significant lead with only 30 seconds left to go. And they're still adding to it. Slightly, a little bit more, chipping away at a time, but right now the best thing they can do is just bleed time off of that clock and only set up one scenario for Magic Beans to try to pull this one out.
Yeah, for sure. And look how many players are alive for Special Dreamers in comparison. And well, we had another player here in spawn, but it looks like, oh, there we go. Now their second player has come into fruition. And that means with 3 players on Magic Beans, if you ask me, this is just Magic Beans. This is lost here. This is Special Dreamers' game to take. No one's on that tower. The whistle blows, and the score is even.
Special Dreamers won. The tent was spawn camping, partying, doing a little dance, not focusing the objective. And despite all of that, Special Dreamers used the entire 3 minutes that they had remaining, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, orchestrated a great comeback, kept slipping onto the tower to find ways to get past the second checkpoint, capture the space necessary, and get lead. But I can't help but feel like Magic Beans could have played a little bit more discipline there throughout the game, and maybe they find themselves up 2-0.
I think you're absolutely right. I feel like the 10 and Sploosh kind of got a little bit... went a little bit more like after the sneaky plays. I feel like they kind of rode the high of it, and it kind of came to bite them afterwards. Granted, they were almost able to stop Special Dreamers from getting that lead, like just barely, but after Special Dreamers got their footings, Magic Beans wasn't really able to collect themselves, as you said.
Yeah, like right there. Like, okay, that's cool if you win, but you look silly when you lose and you do that. Why just go top one tower or put down paint or something? Like you had a great play, capitalize off of it. Instead, you're now tied 1-1, and Special Dreamers getting their first win on top of this. You don't want to give them momentum, and now we're going back to the boring chaos. Scorched Gorge showing up here. Scorched Gorge and Umami in the same same 3. This is burning my eyeballs.
Listen, but we're going to Rainmaker. That's a difference. And as a spectator, I'm hoping that Magic Beans learned a bit of a lesson from last match that maybe we got to play a little bit more organized, you know? And especially as we go into Rainmaker Scorched Gorge, I do want them to bring that tent out again. Because I feel like on that very last stretch, keyword if we get there, it could be really helpful. And also, Scorched Gorge feels kind of small in some areas, so those hammers and the tent are going to feel probably really great for Magic Beans.
I believe they used this against the team waiting in grand finals. What is their name? Eternal Raid. And they lost here. And I think they went with the vacuum tent, which makes so much sense given the state of the game right now, especially with Rainmaker. But the question is, can they get the tent set up in the key positions they need to get the value out of the pushes? They had a lot of issues with that against Eternal Raid. Let's see if they can find ways to get it set up here. It is going to be a vacuum versus vacuum Rainmaker play being used here. And look for an aggressive opening for Magic Beans. It's been working out so far, but I'm assuming that Sploosh is just going to go right for it and try to find somebody to throw a punch to.
No, they're actually staying pretty back here on this opening, waiting for just the perfect opportunity to take players out, almost finding it, but it seems like some punishment has come from the side of Special Dreamers. They are able to take Magic Beans out. Both the 10 and Sploosh back and out to spawn. No one's going to grab the Rainmaker just yet. I'll grab the Rainmaker. Thank you. There we go. We got the Rainmaker in hand, so chance for points is available for Special Dreamers as they were attempting to rush to the checkpoint. Whales stopping them right in their tracks along with the Sploosh.
Not getting the checkpoint, though. So good defensive play here by the Magic Beans. Trying to get some more splats on top of it. Oh, here, that's a goodbye. Unless you don't. Unless you don't. Unless you don't. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Magic Beans, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Get settled back down here.
They're trying their best. They're trying their best, Popgun, but best sometimes means you gotta lock in. That is 3 players down for Magic Beans. I feel like they are just not the same team they were when we started the game. Started the match, excuse me. Special Dreamers, though, is not really taking advantage of the space that they have available to them, taking ages to really move forward. And frankly, Betty's just in the back waiting for a big, but the big is not even making its way towards them. Magic Beans having pretty much all players back up here by the time Special Dreamers finally realized that they had a little bit more blue on the field than they thought they did.
They're doing a good job of dealing with the Ultra Stamp up to this point, keeping it in check. But again, Magic Beans just has to get 1 triple like they did in Game 1, and this could be over quickly. And that's what they're essentially looking for, that home run play that can open up the doors and get things moving for them. But right now, 2 minutes have gone by. Nobody's cleared a checkpoint yet. Magic Beans hasn't even touched the Rainmaker. But as long as they can hold on to this first checkpoint, they're going to be just fine. Nerd forced to use the vacuum right here. That's not really going to accomplish much other than just protect the one person who can start putting down splats. So they're not going to have it to go if they grab the Rainmaker, though.
It's just quite an interesting match. It's like massive moves. When that just said Magic Beans hasn't gotten really anything on the board. I do see that back right here before getting taken out by their own shield pretty much with the help of a bomb. And Magic Beans kind of tracking down. Okay. No, I have a problem. I'm going to be nice. Never mind. Nice. Magic Beans isn't able to bring the Rainmaker forward at all. This is... If you want to talk neutral, this is neutral of all time.
And is this Special Dreamer strategy? Hey, we got the lead technically. If they never touch the Rainmaker, they can't win. 3 minutes have gone by. Oh, there's a vacuum on the back end, though. So here's an opportunity. Unless the Gal can slow things down, they cannot. So here goes the Magic Beans. I don't think they're going to have a vacuum to work with, but they're going to have a little bit of room here. Unless they don't, the Dapple's doing something about it. Unless they do, everybody jumping in and getting splatted. So this, well. Well, the good news here.
Yeah.
Magic Beans did find a way to grab the Rainmaker. The problem is they got 7 whopping points out of it. And how do they not start pushing up? Man, the one players just kept jumping in and slowing things down.
Popcorn, do you want to know what? There's one word to describe this entire match. That is scared. Both of these teams are scared to push past anywhere past center. Like, we have not touched the checkpoint. We've gotten close to the checkpoint, but we have not touched the checkpoint for both of these teams. It's like they have enough space. They just, like, something about that block in the middle of score scores. Teams say, do not pass. For some reason, it's like, guys, I promise, it won't kill you 60% of the time. Might as well go. And finally, Special Dreamers gets the memo and opts to actually push a Rainmaker to the checkpoint. And finally, with 50 seconds left on the clock, we have a checkpoint, Popgun.
They're going to get more on top of that as well. Just grab it and go like a hot meal. Find a way to start pushing up. 2 more players going down. And now here comes the Restarter leading the way. The doors bust wide open. The last player is way out of position, trying to chase the Rainmaker from behind. And the Rainmaker DC'd. The Rainmaker carrier DC'd. Oh, what? Really? What was that all about?
I thought it was like Discord stream moment, like it was having a moment, and no, it was actually the game. It was just the game. That's so funny. But regardless, with Special Dreamers pushing so late into the match, Magic Beans has one opportunity to try and make this right. Special Dreamers literally having 1 player left, but they're not able to pop it in time. That's game. Special Dreamers having another game under their belt. That's match point.
Can we just make this a best of 3 and move on? Not that I'm rooting for Special Dreamers to win, but this match can only go downhill from here. Like, this has been nonstop shenanigans back and forth, And they were about to dunk it, and then DC'd right as they were dunking it. Was that an accident? Was that like like sending a message kind of thing? Like swag dunking? But popped their, like, what is going on here? This nonstop shenanigans here. And how do you not get more value out of this? You got a lot of splats. Just couldn't find ways to start pushing up.
Listen, Popgun, when I said that, like, low-level teams are scared of this map, I meant low-level teams are scared of this map. That, genuine, that structure in mid, I don't know what about it. It screams, like, do not cross to so many players for, like, no reason. It's like, guys, it's okay. The unknown is not that scary. And Special Dreamers was the only team out of these two by the end of the game to, like, get the memo. I sound so mean right now. I gotta dial back. But I'm not over that DC. You know, this entire game happened, and suddenly it was the DC. That was the most entertaining part of it all. My God.
Yeah, you saw the little jitters right there. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, what are we watching here? And it's like, oh, the Rainmaker carrier, DC. And they got the 2 remaining. And they didn't even... I was even kind of thinking, like, why can't they... Like, why is this not a pop right here? But I didn't realize that there's a Dapples on the other side. I think Dapples has the fastest damage per second that it could put on a Rainmaker shield, so I think that was doing a good job of at least countering what the Hammer's doing right there. But despite we potentially got 2 more games of this broken match that we unfortunately have to keep watching here between both teams. Now the real question is that DC and player
BRB
back? Are we good?
BRB has been gold.
What is the...
I don't know what BRB is.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure, because, like, we don't need to be stalling this out for stuff. Like, I get, like, people are like, you know, we should be more lenient about this. But at the same time, if tournaments last long, people start complaining, why aren't the TOs more strict about time limits? And it's like, well, let's figure it out.
Oh, well, there you go. They're going to the bathroom real quick. Frank, I think that's passable. Just don't spend like 20 minutes in there.
I don't. Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Regardless, though, we do have a counter pick. It is going to be Tower Control at Hagglefish Market. And this is the counter pick by Magic Beans. Yes, so Magic Beans can pick this because they've only won on Splat Zones so far in this match. So we do have that, yes.
I'm having flashbacks to the last Hagglefish Zones. I do not want another 3-minute neutral.
Well, it's a Tower Control.
A tower, yeah, but like it's still Hagglefish. It can happen all over again.
It is technically Hagglefish, that is correct. And it could happen, but it won't. We're going to have, because Magic Beans is going to have an aggressive opening, whether it's from the sploosh or the tent, they're going to try to create something initiating right off the bat. And they're going to try to hop on the tower and just run with it. It worked out great for them in the Tower Control Art Academy to start off.
How did it work in Rainmaker?
They didn't work out for anybody. I don't think anybody won that game, actually. I think we're still stuck there mentally.
I feel like I'm stuck there mentally still. But luckily, the break didn't last very long. Waiting for the last player. I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you telepathically. Press the A button. Hold the A button. Free us from our jail.
They might just be like, you know, we need to settle back down. Is that
the last player you'd expect?
Well, no, it's the last player from Magic Beans, and I like that, honestly. I like if Magic Beans were to just settle down a little bit, and because really, since that little twirl, little flex, they've been losing this entire match. So if they could just reset themselves, make some smart plays, get a good opening here, Magic Beans can get right back into this one. Otherwise, Special Dreamers will be moving on.
Definitely a little stressful here for Magic Beans. They got one opportunity to keep themselves into the game a little bit longer here. Already really early special there from Nutty, bringing that hammer out, almost taking a pick. That is some chip damage, but no picks on each side going down. But nothing crazy happening so far. We got like 1 pick, and that's about it. We're still in a pretty chill neutral as things finally, maybe we'll start picking up. We got no one in mid.
Well, that means they were operating along the flanks. Both teams trying to get established control on the left and right side of the stage here. And one of the flanks was working out for Magic Beans, but now... And that's where you see the focus come and beat. They want to make sure that they got all of the sharks figure it out. So Special Dreamers right now, not able to move up mentally because they got to make sure that everybody's right in front of them. Where everybody is by the tower, where's the rest of the defense? Now they're starting to work their way through it.
Yeah, slowly but surely making things, we're getting things going here. I feel like we're the Hacklefish market effect. Actually, as I say that, 3 down on Magic Beans, and finally, look how fast this Dapple is moving forward here. He's gonna have to find a 10 here in a second, but that is very lovely pace from Special Dreamers here as they do move up with a tower. 3 down on them, though. That is gonna quickly put an end to a push, if you ask me.
Well, I didn't ask, but you were correct anyways. That is the end of the push. So yeah, Special Dreamers getting a little bit just like you want to move with the tower. I understand you want to start pushing up when you have that opportunity to do so, but you don't want to get too far separated from the tower. You want to move with each checkpoint, controlling everything. Dapple's getting a little bit too greedy, moving a little bit too far ahead, and now that allowed everybody else to collapse on top of the tower and save the first checkpoint. So we're essentially still tied with 2 minutes off the board.
Yeah, quite slow pacing for how many people are going down on each side here. Again, the best way I could describe these matches is messy, and frankly, I'm both all for it. And it's interesting. It's what I'm going to leave it at, actually. But things are moving forward for Special Dreamers again. I do see Nerd on the tower, but there is danger behind you. It's closer than you think, or closer than you thought it was. Nerd does have that back to protect themselves, but that close combat, it's going to need someone else to help him out here as players are just crowding for the tower. But if you ask me, that is going to be the checkpoint for Special Dreamers. And if you ask the game, that is true.
I think Nerd's a pretty good player. I'll say I'm not afraid to say it. I think Nerd is good at the video game. I like all the awareness that they have with that weapon. I like the fact that they keep finding ways to stay alive but still engaged in the action. Dancing along the tower there, not getting any splats, but doing just enough on the objective to keep things moving and clear that first checkpoint. So that is massive here. 2 minutes gone by, and now Magic Beans yet again not getting a lot of offense to start off these games, as they've only like sneezed on the tower once here. And how are you going to break through the defense? There's a whole lot of specials being put out by the Special Dreamers at this point as they start attacking through mid.
Chance has arisen. They do lose one of their bigger powerhouses. They're losing that gal is really rough. You really want them to be in the front. And when you lose your anchor on top of that, Special Dreamers' dreams are a little bit crushed here, potentially. But as players continue to go down for Magic Beans, I feel like this is so much back and forth. You know, players go down on one side, players go down on the other. Alas, that is Splatoon. But we haven't seen major moves since that last push Special Dreamers has had going on. Barely a touch on that second checkpoint.
A minute 10 left to go, and another. This is the value out of this push here for Special Dreamers is just wasting time. I mean, that's all they really need to accomplish right here. If they get more points on top of this, they clear a checkpoint. That'd be fantastic. But the longer they push that tower into enemy territory while not sacrificing too much, allowing their players to come back in and hold up defensive mid, this is just going to be a continuing issues for Magic Beans. The flanks for them are not working. The tent pushes are not working. The specials are not working. And instead, they're just playing whack-a-mole with Special Dreamers doing the flanks and doing everything to put pressure on them. 30 seconds remaining. Only 6 points scored by Magic Beans.
Yeah, it seems that might just sit around, though. They are starting to take players off the Special Dreamers. They do have man advantage here. Nerd is forced back to even better. But Sazzle specials start to come out, and players of Special Dreamers continue to fall. They have more than 6 points on the board, and things are different. Oh my goodness. But things are moving for Magic Beans, but they're all getting collapsed on Special Dreamers, seeing right through them. And as Town is the last player on tower, they will be the last player to go down for Magic Beans as the whistle beckons and it blows. There it goes.
And that's the kind of pop-off you like to see when you're getting the victory. Not in the middle of the game, where literally after that point, Special Dreamers gets a 3-0 after that. My goodness, what a change in the momentum of a match. And Special Dreamers keeps the momentum going. They have now won 11 games with only dropping 1 while on the loser's side, avenging their only match loss today to the Magic Beans team, as now they're going to take on Eternal Raid for the entire kit and caboodle, and they did it by keeping their composure the entire way through in a defensive clinic. I believe in the Rainmaker game and this one combined, 11 points scored by Magic Beans in 2 5-minute games and some overtime. That is credit to Special Dreamers completely dominating control of mid.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful gameplay there for Special Dreamers. And Magic Beans, you still got to give them props because they did get this far into the bracket in the first place. And Loic is long. Because there's a lot of games to be played, and that's pretty solid stamina for how long they went. So maybe next time they have the chance to potentially take a spot there in grand finals, but for now, Special Dreamers will be moving forward. Their dream is coming true, perhaps, as they are going to be fighting Eternal Raid next. Now, that's going to be a fun one.
And let's take a break. We've been going at it for a while. Let's take a little bit of a break here. Let's let the audience reset. Let's let them create the room, and we'll be back with grand finals of Loic May 2026 momentarily right here on IPL.
One might go left.
I'm watching left back.
Hey, jump studio.
They're jumping forward.
Now we're back to a fight for the zone. Both of these teams are around, but 2 down.
Nope.
On to PXG, but grab tank.
Dead. Zone, ping. Oh, catch it. Oh,
No, dude, don't do this. Come on, yo.
nice.
Try.
Welcome back, everybody, to Low Ink. We're in May 2026. Are we? We are.
Yes.
We are back here with Grand Finals. I know you guys have been waiting for it. We have two. I am Fufu, joined by Popgun.
Let me ask you a question, Fufu. Do you like X-Splosh?
X-Splasher?
Yes.
I'm indifferent. I can like it.
Okay, well, you're going to have to, because we are looking at it right now.
Are we?
Eternal Raid was riding the X-Splosh. Oh, we're going to take a look. We're in Splatzone's Mako Mart. And, well, actually, if you're going to use X-Splosh, this is a pretty good place to use it, as they're going to be using it right now with the hands that can be thrown at any moment. Eternal Raid not lost a match all weekend long. They've dropped a couple of games here and there, but now they're looking to pick up right where they left off and try to close out this tournament before it gets to a bracket reset. Special Dreamers trying to keep the momentum rolling that they gained in loser's bracket.
Yeah, they're subject to be addressed, and that is the Explosion and Pencil working together here, but unfortunately they're not living there very long to see anything out of it, as Special Dreamers does take 2 players of Eternal Raid out, but actually both Blaster and Explo are going to be living another day somehow still alive as Special Dreamers continues to take down Endpoint. We have a little bit of scattering of players, but Eternal Raid is starting to gather players together for hopefully a better push going forward, but they do continue to unfortunately be consistently one down.
Oh, if that worked out to be a trade, that might have been it for Special Dreamers here. And it ultimately does. 2 more players getting eliminated. Here comes a vacuum on top of it by Special Dreamers just to try to add to the lead here. Now, what's the game plan going to be? Is it going to be the Stamper? No, the Stamper's going to jump out. The X-Splosh keeps jumping around the edge right there, trying to draw attention. They got a Crab tank ready to go. They got some hands they can throw into the zone. It's going to get a splat. So Eternal Raid, not the greatest opening, but they live to fight another day in game 1.
Yeah, that's incredibly tight, though. Special Dreamers just had 5 points left on the board here for Titan, taking a pick with one of the anchors, nearly abandoning the fight. You're making me a little bit nervous, as they do have that splashdown to defend themselves a little bit forward, but it's not going to save them entirely, as they are sent back to spawn along with the rest of their team. Only the anchors alive for Eternal Raid. Now, like, they have pretty solid defensive power, but they have to be in a position to get to defensive position in the first place. And with Special Dreamers having all of the resources to move forward and continue this aggression, Eternal Raid hasn't really had a perfect opportunity to take the zone and keep moving with it.
So now we're going to be stuck into this back and forth seesawing of the zone, and that's not going to work out in Eternal Raid's favor. They got to find a way to create a lockout. They got to find a way to start containing Special Dreamers, but the positioning here, the specials that are lined up, they do got Reslider as well. That's going to be another frustrating thing from Eternal Raid, because, oh, well, there you go. Just to eliminate them before they can pop the Reslider and destroy everybody else on top of it. But if they can find ways to get that Reslider going, they can just keep seesawing back and forth here. But this is Eternal Raid's best opportunity they have to get the dub here.
Yeah, for sure. And this makes me really nervous right now, because this is the exact position Eternal Raid is best in this position where they can force Special Dreamers into a lockup position. But Special Dreamers somehow are able to get out, able to apply some penalty points, which is huge for them. They are back in control of the zone, and they were able to put themselves exactly where they want to be. Eternal Raid did a pretty solid dent in that push. I'm surprised they were able to get there the way they did, but control is back in their favor once more, as they're feeling a little bit more confident in moving forward now that they felt Special Dreamers out a little bit more.
And that's going to be, well, you asked how did they able to cap the zone? Again, it was that Reslider.
Oh, no, it was
the front side. So, but that's how you're going to deal with that for the next 2 minutes, because you can just Reslider to death here, essentially. And they got another one ready to go with the vacuum on top of it. So you got it. Well, actually, they're doing a pretty decent job of eliminating the X-Splasher over and over and over again. But you're just going to have to keep doing that to make sure that they never get that Reslider ready to go. Otherwise, this is just going to be game 1 going to Special Dreamers. Here comes the vacuum trying to create a situation to where Titan cannot fight at all. And the vacuum by itself can also do a lot of damage to the zone as well. So there's just a lot of different options Special Dreamers has to just kind of bleed out time on the clock and try to win with just the 5 remaining that they got.
And, you know, if Special Dreamers continues how they are right now, they are able to get a really good hold of neutral when they get to it. Again, I do see that splashdown ready from this Expo, so it might be what they need to turn the zone, but they don't really have the members to figure that out. And they get immediately punished by Special Dreamers reside here. The Dread still holding strong here on the zone, and just like that, just with barely enough paint, Special Dreamers is taking the first game of the set.
This is the team that has won 12 of their last 13 games, building up a ton of momentum on the loser side of the bracket, and that transitioned into a very strong opening in game 1, even when Eternal Raid was able to find their ways back into that one. Splat Zones, Manta. I wouldn't be as opposed to seeing that in this tournament, honestly. But Special Dreamers specials were able to bleed out enough time in that one. There's just too many different resources they had to work with the massive lead that they did. So Eternal Raid, I'm just going to chalk that one off to, hey, we had a bit of a break. We came out of it sluggish, but now we got to establish ourselves here in game 2, because if we just let this team continue to build momentum, this is going to be a very quick bracket reset.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, we saw it ourselves. Eternal Raid really ramped up towards that second half of the game. So we haven't seen everything they have just yet. So that only makes me excited for what's to come. Especially like the Blaster and the Stamper. They were a little bit more aggressive there during that second half. So I think they were definitely figuring it out. But Special Dreamers still has a game advantage going in. So great for them. Honestly, I'd be pretty happy with that. But it is just the question of what's coming up next.
By the way, Special Dreamers, looking back over the history between these two teams, they did not play each other yesterday, and this is their first time meeting in this tournament. Special Dreamers did lose to South Florida 3-0 yesterday, and Cherry Deep Sink 1-2. So this is another 4-2 Swiss team coming in here with just the RNG of the opponent win percentage working out into their favor that even got them into Alpha Bracket. And now they're continuing this momentous run through this event. Magic Bean sitting down to the losers bracket earlier, but they got revenge against them. Not only that, they got revenge against South Florida as well. So 2 teams, they've lost to 3 teams this entire weekend. They've got revenge against 2 of them here. And again, Eternal Raid not lost at all up to this point. They've dropped a few games here and there, but they've been the best team so far. Can they recollect themselves here and make a counter pick to Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi? You really love this pick, I'm assuming.
I love this, but also this is the nasty map for anchors, but I feel like it follows the same principle as Macklemore here, is that you do not want to get locked out, especially if you are Eternal Raid because of your defensive nature in comp. I feel like we're kind of playing by the same rules as we did last time, but the comps aren't changing on either side, it seems, so everyone's sticking to their guns. Once the water drops at 40, I think that's when, or at 60, excuse me, that's when things really going to get going.
They're still using the X-Splosh. They're still using the pencil. And Special Dreamers, did you realize the game started? You're going to get wiped out in the first 15 seconds. Using an emergency reef slider. Why'd you even use that? And that doesn't get anything here. Whoa, Special Dreamers off to a horrible start. As Eternal Raid said, yeah, we've learned our mistake from game 1 here. We're just going to put the pedal to the metal right off the bat, and we're just going to boat race you.
Yeah, and this is the defensive comp going to be at its prime here. When they have this lockout situation, you do not want to deal with this much chip damage. Like, this amount of chip damage on defense is disgusting to have to fight. But that being said, it looks like Special Dreamers is able to get back in with a combination of the back and reef slider to capstone. Able to get a little bit of paint. Players going down on each side. Just a splash down there from Eternal Raid to try and neutralize the zone a little bit. But there's not as much follow-up as Eternal Raid would have hoped, as control does return in the favor of Special Dreamers. Now, Special Dreamers did a really good job at getting back to the zone, getting things back in order. So it's just a matter of keeping it, really.
Eternal Raid needs to find ways to stop this push right here. I mean, before they give up lead. Because if they could just put the pressure back on the Special Dreamers, where they can't just use their specials over and over again, and now lead's going to be for Special Dreamers. Now they're in the same scenario as game 1. We can just keep resliding you. We can just keep using the ink back, even if you get back into control of the zone. But even that's in a little bit of question right now. Special Dreamers starting to push up. They're getting dealt with the X-Splosh and everything else. They got a crab tank ready to go, but a vacuum is on board as well for Special Dreamers. We can see what happens here in zone.
Yeah, and that splashdown ready to find a target, and down it goes. Not quite able to find a target, but the target was capped. That was the zone, actually, but immediately flipping back into yellow. Special Dreamers is losing half their team, along with Eternal Raid. A little bit more pain on the side of Special Dreamers here on the zone, as they do look for targets of players instead of the zone, and that worked out excellently in their favor. Zone capped back in Special Dreamers' favor. Nerd, I see you looking for a pick. I am that greedy too, I get you.
So now we're stuck. How do you got to deal with the reslider and the vacuum on top of it. Same puzzle they couldn't figure out in game 1. And now, not a lot of penalty points Special Dreamers has to burn through as well before they start adding to their lead. But there you go. Dreadringer gone. Can you start finding ways to drop down there? Yes, you can. There goes the Dapples. Everyone's got soda in them, so they'll be right back rather quickly. But now the splats are starting to add up for Eternal Raid, but they need to start pushing up immediately. They need to keep all those specials away from the zone.
Yeah, and they haven't really moved up all too far here. Not really, taking care of the ledges here on Special Dreamers' side. And now, there we go. Finally, Titan did get the message. They're able to... Again, the Blaster and Stamper, I just need them on the ledges. That is disgusting to be at, but it is also understandable to wait because of the Dreadringer like that. That nearly took Titan out themselves, but penalty points are done for Eternal Raid as these specials are just waiting to find someone down. Rear Slider in center, not quite capping it, still in purple. Eternal Raid looking at a potential lead swap.
They're going to get it too, because the vacuum and the reslider were used, but nobody else was alive for Special Dreamers, and the hand should be enough to close this one out. Special Dreamers, how do you deal with the specials? Splat everybody else. Take the Dapples off the board, take the Gal off the board before they can use their Killer Whale on top of that as well. So Eternal Raid, they finally solved the puzzle. They were staring down an 0-2. They even things out as Splat Zones is now off the board.
And I couldn't agree more. It's just, what are they going to do if they're dead? What are they going to do? Nothing. So really good comeback there from Eternal Raid. They're definitely getting a bit more control over the set as time goes on. They're starting to get the pattern. I love watching the real-time adjustments of both of these teams, especially Eternal Raid here during this match. They just had it figured out by the very end. Very satisfying to see, and it only makes the rest of the set look that much more like... I'm excited, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, good. I'm glad you're excited, because we are going to get to see at least a Game 4 out of this match. But this is going to be the first counter pick we see out of Special Dreamers, and that's just the second loss that Special Dreamers has had in a game since they've gone down to losers bracket. So, Splat Zones cannot be picked by either team, at least for the time being. And we're going to have to go to probably Tower Control Art Academy would be my guess. No, Tower Control Hagglefish. Where they just came off their last victory. That wasn't Splat Zone related, I guess just to say. Good job defensively against Magic Beans. They're hoping to keep that defensive effort up here against Eternal Raid. And this has been the tale of the openings. Special Dreamers dominant in their Game 1 opening. Eternal Raid flipping the script on them in Game 2. Are we going to see a little bit more of a neutral situation here where both teams try to fill each other out, or are they just going to go right at it and see who can take the dub right off the bat?
I really want to see them going right at it, because I feel like that just makes Tower Control that much more interesting. Also, it can get really snowbally when these teams feel like it. So that's kind of what I'm gunning for personally, but time will tell. Oh, interesting. No Stamper exchange. We're going for a vanilla Splattershot Pro. That's an interesting swap.
I think I saw them using that against Magic Beans in some point, so opting to go with the Crab Tank and the Line Marker, which is a sub I forget it's even in the video game quite often until you see it in solo queue being used randomly here. And well, the answer is who's going to have the better opening. It's Eternal Raid. 2 players instantly going down. They're going to hop onto the tower. And an offensive explosion for Eternal Raid. They got 12 points on the board. They might even get more than that. Special Dreamers isn't used to teams putting up this many points against them, especially in Tower Control Hagglefish.
Yeah, with the gal here getting on the flanks, just trying to find some sort of pick. Titan taking them clean out as Tower continue to move forward there for Eternal Raid. Dread in their back lines there on that poor Crab, but no rest of the team there with the Tower Rider, but they're still moving forward. That's quite the look.
That Crab just got mega punched off the tower, and it's still doing just fine here as Eternal Raid just going to set up shop. Yeah, we're not going to clear the checkpoint just yet, but you're not going to do anything about it, so we'll clear it at our leisure here. So finally, it goes down, but a couple of players from Eternal Raid get eliminated on top of it as well. Here comes a reslider, but no! Foiled again, Batman. I got away from you just in time. And damage done, though. Checkpoint is cleared, and Eternal Raid isn't giving up on it. They're still throwing specials at that thing.
But while that was happening, Titan took like 2 players out on their own. They did die, but it was like a pick into a splash out. That was kind of metal. I really enjoyed that. That was fun. But Special Dreamers finally starting to see some players down on Eternal Raid. Seeing a little bit more space in center. They're going to be losing 1 player on each team. I don't really see things moving too forward at the moment as players of Eternal Raid are missing for a potential push. Just kind of playing a little bit of a waiting game as teams are starting to, or were starting to get themselves together.
The last time we saw Special Dreamers here, it was key that they were able to attack the flanks, just like that Dapples is able to do right there, but it ultimately works out into a trade. Good job defensively there, even though they got to burn a special just to get rid of the Vanilla Pro. It should open up the doors here for, oh, that gal, bless your heart. You should probably get aimbot, and that would work out a little bit better like we saw last night, ultimately getting the splat on top of it. And now this checkpoint should fall. There's not a Eternal Raid player in sight of the tower.
Yeah, they are starting to appear, though. I do like this Expo's position, but with the vac stopping them in their tracks, or what's supposed to be a vac stopping them in their tracks, that lead is still swapping towards Special Dreamer's side as they continue to bring points onto the board. Again, I love seeing a player on the right, but ooh, this is a little dicey with a player in the back line. I think that player in the back, was that the pro? I think that was a pro back there, causing some mayhem, getting some points on the board. Or, sorry, excuse me. Able to bring that defensive power for Eternal Raid to swap the dive.
Well, we do see the pro now trying to push up the tower. Does have a crab to work with, and they're just dealing with the flanks as they come. That time around, the Dapples just keeps going for it, and eventually they do land. But here you go. There's no checkpoint in between Eternal Raid and getting the lead. They basically just have to get to the second checkpoint, and that by itself will be enough. That's way away from the tower. Does Special Dreamers know they need to stop this? The answer is yes. They got 2 players up on the canopy, and it's the X-Blosh who's got a lot of range. Oh, they got splatted. That's lead.
That's lead. That's in fact lead. It happened so fast. Like, I don't think I expected it to be that fast, but even then, the lead is still incredibly fragile in just the range of things. Because Special Dreamers is only 6 points away from that. Another good push, and they can potentially take the lead back themselves. But like, that was, from what I saw, Eternal Raid had a pretty clean push to that lead.
Now a reslider into the nothing, the netherworld here. As Special Dreamers needs to find a way. First, clear out the flanks. That's step 1. Step 2, start finding ways to push up and put that X-Blosh and the Snipe Rider in a position to where they can't just keep poking the tower. And then you just got to stay on it just long enough, and you'll win the game. The problem is they can't deal with all the range. All the range that the Eternal Raid has, and they can just step up shop on the canopy in the ledge area, and they can keep poking the tower. 30 seconds left to go.
By the way, I want to note that the points were genuinely evened out. Like, Special Dreamers was 1 point away from taking that lead. That was looking kind of scary, but with these last 15 seconds remaining, as long as Eternal Raid keeps to their guns and keeps their defense stable, they should be able to see another game in their pocket, and they're doing just that, taking their time with this defense, just waiting for Special Dreamers to come to them as they are the team that has to push.
The Fab is going to be canceled out by the vacuum, but you can't catch them hands with the vacuum as Eternal Raid weathers the storm. The closest game we've had so far in this match goes into their favor. They got walloped in game 1. Now they're just 1 game away from closing out the tournament and winning it.
Yeah, exactly that. Eternal Raid, I feel like, is kind of excited. They're like, oh, we get to finish this out pretty soon. And you said they were undefeated the entire tournament, if I recall correctly?
Right, as far as the match is concerned. They've lost games, but no, they haven't lost the match yet.
I see, but yeah, I mean, I think it's still a good feat that Special Dreamers did take a game off. It doesn't mean they're out of the running just yet. Special Dreamers could very well bring this to a map that they're really comfortable on and even the score out just as fast.
Well, you would assume that's where they went. I mean, this was their counter pick that they went to. And if they just, to your point, if they just keep a toe on that tower just a little bit longer, they probably get the lead there, and they're probably the team that's up 2-1. But they can go back to tower control if they want to go to Art Academy. Obviously, it's their prerogative to go to Rainmaker or Clam Blitz, and Clam Blitz is what they're going to go here. The last time we saw Clam Blitz, they were able to break through the defense of the team that was using double bubbler. They're finding ways to initiate with their vacuum. I think they were using Zuka as well with a splatter shot. So they had a bunch of different ways to kind of break through the defense of the enemy team and get into the positions where they could put up points. I don't think they used Dreadringer here. I could be wrong. I feel like the other team used Dreadringer.
I think that's the other. There's a Dread somewhere on one of these two teams.
Well, I mean, just like the last time we saw this stage in particular. I'm trying to think of what Special Dreamers exclusively will try to do here. Because this is their counter pick. This is their, we feel the best. This gives us our best chance at a win. Because if we lose, it's over.
Yeah, because I feel like this would still fall into the favor of Eternal Raid just based off how neutral the maps have been so far. Like, I think neutral maps are just the maps that both of these teams are good at. So, despite this being Special Dreamers picks, I think Eternal Raid has just equal chance of pushing things in their favor again.
Championship points for Eternal Raid. As we go to Clam Blitz at Barnacle and Dime, no changes on the comp, but we do see the Dreadringer coming out from the side of Special Dreamers. It's just not the variant we're used to seeing at this point. It is the Crab Tank and Curling Bomb that they're going to be using here. And the openings have been key for every game so far in this match. Both teams opting to be very patient. Titan's just going to go for it, though, and it's going to work out into a trade.
Yeah, quite a messy opening if you ask me. And I want to talk about that crab real quick right there, because I feel like that can easily be canceled when splashdowns are ready. It just takes one splashdown to remove that crab. So I feel like that can be pretty dicey later on. That said, it did its job for now as Eternal Raid was forced a little bit back, but only temporarily as the rest of their players are moving forward and starting to take chips, starting to take picks here on Special Dreamers. And despite some trades going on the board, most of this turf is starting to turn blue.
And now you just got the vacuum left. And we've seen Nerd not shy away from fights with the Charger. But this is a dicey situation where if you lose and you're out. So we'll see how they respond to this kind of pressure here as Eternal Raid isn't quite ready to start pushing up yet. They want to get a few more splats on top of it. They got plenty of clams to work with. They got some specials. They got a crab. They got soda in them as well. This is all lining up to be a scenario to where Eternal Raid blows the doors wide open on the opening push. And they're going to throw some hands on top of it as well. Double hands, actually, and both connect.
Yeah, getting some points on the board there for Eternal Raid. Beautiful stuff here. They are waiting to get some clams, and there we go. And another power clam on top of that, bringing that score all the way down to 45. And Tyan here ready to put some more clams in the basket, bringing that score even further down to 36. But if you ask me, that's pretty much the end of that, as the Expo is the last player live with their buddy here in center. So that'll be the end of that for now. But Special Dreamers took a massive hit to their points.
You can't hope for a better push than that in this kind of scenario. Yeah, you can get a KO, but you can get the 36 remaining and keep control of mid on top of that, and putting all this pressure on the team that is forced to win. This is where Eternal Raid can close out this tournament right here, just from a mental standpoint. This is going to be very difficult for Special Dreamers to break out of this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they do lose one of their anchors. That pencil is unfortunately a pretty hard hit to their resources. The Special Dreamers slowly but surely is trying to move up here in mid, seeing a little bit more space for themselves finally. But ooh, that's a crab, all right. That's a crab that does crab things and takes people out. I love a good crab. Crab is just so dangerous. I have such a soft spot for it because it just makes so much space when used correctly, or when allowed to be used, and not be taken out by a splashdown.
And crabs like it when they're not going up against the gal that auto locks onto them and eliminates them immediately, as we're seeing right here. The way crabs are supposed to be played. As 2 minutes, 15 seconds left on the board, Special Dreamers starting to make their way out of mid, or into mid, out of their own spawn, seeing what the world is like out there, and they don't like it. They got punched in the face. And I said, no! Actually, they went for a swim. Fun fact. Apparently squids can't go into water. They immediately die. They found that out the hard way. Eternal Raid starting to push up yet again.
Yeah, seeing this climb economy slowly start to build up. That's 3 down on Special Dreamers. Just Nerd with the last stand on that back shot. Not enough. Just waiting for that power climb before this basket opens. And there it goes. Eternal Raid and bringing a splash down. And oh my goodness, players down left and right for Special Dreamers. If they can keep this climb economy up, they only have 4 climbs left in their arsenal. They should be able. There are no more penalty points. And as points continue to tick down, Papa, they keep the space. They're just going to win the game.
And it's more important how they end this push rather than how they begin it. If they can keep some players alive, keep control mid, or just keep the pressure on the enemy side of the map and not let them get out of their spawn, then that's exactly how this is going to end. So Eternal Raid still keeps the pressure on Special Dreamers and adds a little bit to their lead here. This is 1 minute remaining. They're only going to have one more opportunity to push if they can even find a way to get control of mid again.
Yeah, and the difference between Special Dreamers and Eternal Raid is insane because Special Dreamers hasn't even been able to go near Eternal Raid's basket compared to Eternal Raid, who has had at least like 3 set pushes. This is a 3rd push. Another power clamp to the basket and some more clamps to call for that. This is knockout potential. They just need 2 more clamps. 2 more clamps is all it takes, and this X-Flow has them. Can they put it in though? Can they get it into the basket? Just 1 left, and it's not enough.
It is though. It is, though. The pro slips past in a dominant Game 4 as Eternal Raid wraps up the entire tournament. They are your low-ink May 2026 champions.
What an excellent job there done from Eternal Raid. They just had a grip on the entire match. They were in control for most of it. And it's exactly as I said earlier, Popgun. It's a neutral map. This can go either way. And Eternal Raid was the one to see it through. Undefeated set-wise. Eternal Raid are your champions.
It's quite often I say the best team on paper doesn't win low ink. It's the team that so much just survives the gauntlet. Eternal Raid was the best team. I mean, I think they proved that here. Not just because they won every single match that they played, but just how they dealt with every scenario that was presented to them. They got steamrolled in Game 1. It didn't affect them. They were able to get their sea legs under them in Game 2. They gave up a huge lead in Game 2. It didn't matter. They were still able to find ways to close it out and take care of business. And that last game was just a clinic of how to dominate an opposing team on Clan Blitz for a 5-minute stretch. Closing out the tournament in dominant fashion. They're your champs, and they are rightfully earned that position, beating everybody that they came across.
Giving us a really good show while they were at it too. I honestly, that was a really fun grand finals. Like I was nervous towards the beginning, and by the end they're like, okay, let's show them how to close the tournament out, and close it out. They did. They felt incredibly comfortable on that Clan Blitz Barnacle. That was fun.
And and the tournament's over.
Yeah.
Beta bracket is ended as well. The Whip Rays, your Whip Rays, Fufu, have won beta brackets. And that means at 3 hours and 30 minutes, we are done. This was a fast low ink. We'll take it. We will take it. And you know what? We're not going to drag this out any further. We're just going to end this right here. We are going to wrap this up. Congratulations to Eternal Raid. And a special shout out to Special Dreamers. You guys did fantastic. You had a huge run. It just came. You just ran into the brick wall at the very end. The team that's eliminated everybody here. But we're going to wrap this up. Fufu, nicely done. How you doing? Where can the people find you?
You guys can find me at @SplatFufu on Blue Sky. Maybe I'll start posting art again pretty soon. Ooh, you guys want to look at that. And keep an eye out for potential commentary endeavors in the future. I had a lot of fun here, Popgun. I'm feeling great. That was a great grand finals. How are you feeling? Where can the people find you?
I am not doing a popcast tomorrow. I am on PJ duty all night long. We're going to have a boys' night as Miss Popgun has some evening plans, so I won't have time to do a popcast. I might just release a video tonight because there is a lot to talk about from yesterday if you've been paying attention to anything, unless you just pay attention to low ink, which, cool on you. But that is going to do it for this edition of Low Ink. We'll be back next month, and we'll give a special shout out here to the from all of us here at IPL, the head TOs for this event. Myself, Brush, and Hoenn Hero, our staff, our commentators, our lovely and talented producer for this week, Joe Ryan. We thank you for playing, participating, and watching this edition of Low Ink. Congratulations yet again to Eternal Raid. I don't know why. I just, yes, that is their name, right? Correct.
Yes.
Eternal Raid. Let's get out of here. Good night.
See
Good
you
luck.
guys.
And turn off your aim bots if you're playing in tournaments.